My parents gave my sister a fancy villa and left me an empty parking lot. You can always sleep under the stars. They laughed. But when I turned the lot into a business, suddenly they wanted in. I should have known this dinner was a setup. My parents never invited me over unless they had a reason, usually to remind me how much of a failure I was. But I went anyway, hoping, maybe foolishly, that this time would be different. I'm a mechanic. Nothing special, but I'm good at it. I fix things, get paid, and stay out of trouble. My sister, Emily, is their perfect child. She's never worked a real job, always gets everything handed to her. If she burned their house down, they'd find a way to blame me. I walked in, and Emily was already there, sipping wine like she owned the place. Dad was reading the newspaper. Mom was in the kitchen, pretending to stay busy so she didn't have to look at me too much. Wow, Emily said, smiling. You actually showed up. Took a break from fixing tires? I ignored her and sat down. Mom said it was important. Dad finally put down the newspaper. It is. We've decided to divide our assets. Emily looked excited. She knew she was getting something big. Mom smiled at her. We're giving you the beach house, sweetheart. Emily gasped like she had won a prize. Oh my God, the one in Massachusetts. Mom nodded. Yes, it's yours now. I waited. There had to be something for me too, right? Dad turned to me, his face emotionless. And you, Logan, we're giving you the parking lot. Silence. I blinked. The what? The old lot on 8th Street, Mom said, waving her hand like it was a great gift. It's land. You can figure something out. Emily laughed. Oh my God, that's hilarious. She turned to me, grinning. At least you'll always have a place to sleep under the stars. Dad chuckled. That lot's been empty for years, but maybe you can set up a lemonade stand or something. Mom sighed. Logan, you always say you want to build something for yourself. Now's your chance. I stared at them. This wasn't even a bad joke disguised as kindness. It was just cruel. A memory came to me. I was 16, covered in grease from my first job at the auto shop. I was proud, holding my first paycheck, hoping my parents would be impressed. Emily was on the couch, whining about a new car for her birthday. Dad didn't even look at me. You're going to smell like oil for the rest of your life, huh? Mom shook her head. Well, at least he's useful. Maybe he'll fix your car for free someday. Emily never had to work. They bought her a new BMW that same week. And now, years later, nothing had changed. I took a deep breath and pushed back from the table. You're serious? Dad shrugged. You should be grateful we're giving you anything. Emily smirked. Maybe one day you'll make enough to buy a real property. They all laughed, like this was some kind of joke. I gripped the chair so hard my knuckles turned white, but I didn't yell or argue. I just nodded. Okay. Mom frowned. That's it? No thank you. I stood up. Oh, I'll make something of it. I looked at Emily. And when I do, don't come knocking. She rolled her eyes. Sure, Logan. Can't wait to see what you do with a piece of concrete. Dad shook his head. Always so dramatic. I walked out, not saying another word. Fine. They thought they could humiliate me. I'd show them. I'd turn that parking lot into something they'd never expect. And when I did, they'd regret it. The next morning, I filed for permits to allow food trucks. If this was just a piece of concrete, I'd make it a profitable one. Within a week, I had contracts with top food truck owners, tacos, burgers, coffee, even vegan bowls for the hipsters. I took out a small loan, not from a bank, but from my boss at the auto shop, a guy who actually believed in hard work. I used it to set up lights, seating, music, and banners to turn the place into something real. 3 weeks later, that empty lot was a food court, with live music and long lines. That's when the fun started. A month later, the place had gone viral on social media. I saw Mom walking up, wearing her expensive coat, looking around like she had walked into a dump. I was checking inventory when she came over. So, this is what you've done? She asked, wrinkling her nose at the crowd. I didn't even look at her. Yeah, you gave me trash, so I made it work. She exhaled sharply, clearly unimpressed. This isn't a real business, she said. It's just a phase, right? I laughed. A phase? It's making more money than Emily's influencer career. Her face twitched, and Emily walked up. She stopped dead in her tracks, staring at the place. "What is this?" she snapped. "You turned this into, what? A flea market?" I smiled. "It's called a successful business." She scoffed. "This isn't real money." I pointed to the crowd. "Yeah, then why are all these people spending their fake money here every night?" A few customers clapped. Emily's face turned red. "Mom, say something," she whined. Mom cleared her throat. "Logan, we're just concerned. This doesn't seem stable." I raised an eyebrow. "Stable? Like the beach house you gave Emily for free?" Emily cut in quickly. "You can't sell this. It's family property." I laughed. "Oh, now it's family property? Funny. I didn't hear that when you were laughing at me." Her jaw tightened. "This isn't fair," she said. "You didn't earn this." I turned to face her. "Oh, really? Saying that to me?" She crossed her arms, but she looked unsure of herself now. "I'm just saying, selling it would be betraying the family." I tilted my head. "When you dumped it on me as a joke, that wasn't betrayal." Mom seemed to struggle to find something to say, then she finally spoke. "Well," she said carefully, "if this business is doing so well, maybe we should talk about a partnership." I stared at her, then I laughed, loud, so loud that a few customers looked over. "You're kidding, right?" I asked for help, but you ignored me. You gave me nothing, humiliated me, and now that I've made something of myself, you want a piece of it? Emily crossed her arms. "It's family money now." I stepped closer and looked her in the eye. "You already got your share, live with it." Without saying another word, I turned my back on them and walked into my business. They thought they could break me, but I was just getting started. A few days later, my phone buzzed while I was at work. It was Mom calling. I ignored it. Then she called again, and again. I couldn't help but smirk. They needed something. By then, my food truck park was thriving. It was the hottest spot in town, making more money in a month than I used to make in a year at the auto shop. Suddenly, my family, who had laughed at me before, couldn't stop calling. A few days later, I saw Emily standing by the food trucks. She didn't look smug this time. She looked desperate. I raised an eyebrow. "What are you doing here? Did your car break down?" She sighed. "I need to talk to you." I checked my watch. "I've got 5 minutes. Make it count." She paused, then said, "I need to sell the beach house." I was surprised. "The same beach house you were showing off?" She ignored that. "The market is bad, and I need money fast." I smirked. "Spending too much on vacations and designer bags?" She stiffened. "It's complicated. Please, just say you'll help." I leaned against a food truck. "Help? How?" She hesitated. "I need $200,000 to cover debts before I can even sell the house." I whistled. "That's a lot. Good luck with that." She grabbed my arm. "You have the money, please." I pulled away. "Oh, now you think my business is real enough to ask for a loan?" Her face turned red. "We're family, Logan." I laughed. "Funny, last time we talked, you called me a joke. Where's all that energy now?" She closed her mouth, then said, "I'll pay you back, please." I stared at her, then shook my head. "No." Her eyes widened. "No." I smiled. "That's right, you and Mom and Dad said no when I needed support, so no. Emily, I won't bail you out." She took a step back, shocked, then exploded. "You're just going to let me fail?" I shrugged. "Not my problem," and I walked away. But it wasn't over. A week later, I pulled into my lot and saw my parents standing there. Mom looked irritated. Dad looked tired. "Logan," Mom started, "we need to talk." I sighed. "Let me guess, Emily ran to you, and now you're here to lecture me." Mom pursed her lips. "This is serious." Dad spoke up. "We need your help, son." I raised an eyebrow. "Son? Oh, now I'm your son again." Mom sighed. "Your father's business isn't doing well. We're in financial trouble." I fought the urge to smile. "Oh, the family that gave Emily a mansion and me a parking lot is struggling? Who could have guessed?" Mom glared. "Don't be childish, Logan." I tilted my head. "Childish? Like laughing at me when I was struggling?" Dad groaned. "We don't need a lecture. We need a loan." I rubbed my chin. How much? Mom swallowed. 500,000. I laughed. 500,000? Dad nodded, looking tired. You're successful now. You can afford it. I crossed my arms. Oh, now I'm successful. Mom snapped. Don't be a brat. We're family. I let that hang in the air. Then I smiled. Let me tell you something about family, I said, stepping closer. Family doesn't laugh at you when you're struggling. Another step. Family doesn't treat you like a joke. One more. And family doesn't show up only when they need something. Mom's face went pale. Dad mumbled, Logan, please. I exhaled and shook my head. You made your choices. I looked at my lot, my success, and I made mine. Then I stepped back. I'm not giving you a cent. Mom gasped. You ungrateful. I raised my hand. No, we're done. I turned to walk away. Logan, Dad called, if you walk away from this. I paused and turned back. If I walk away? You mean like you walked away from me? Silence. I nodded. That's what I thought, and I left. Next part. I thought I was done with them, but they didn't take no for an answer. A few days later, they tried to make trouble for me. It started with bad reviews online. 1 star, this place is overrated. The owner is rude. Another one. 1 star, the staff is unprofessional. The place smells like garbage. And another. 1 star, the owner is selfish and ungrateful. Don't support this business. I laughed. Nice try, Mom. Then, a city inspector showed up, saying someone complained my permits weren't up to code. I knew exactly who it was. Then came more complaints about my seating area, noise levels, and food safety. They were trying to shut me down with paperwork and fines. But I wasn't going to let them break me. I hired a lawyer and got everything in order. I doubled my marketing, threw more events, and invited influencers. I expanded the business. Then, Emily made the biggest mistake of all. It was a busy Saturday night, and the place was packed. That's when I heard her. Emily was shouting. This place is a joke. I turned to see her, looking drunk and messy. Mom was behind her, trying to stop her. Emily, stop, Mom said. But Emily was screaming. I can't believe you think you're better than us. A few customers turned and pulled out their phones. I smiled. Perfect. I walked toward Emily, keeping my voice calm. Emily, leave. She stumbled closer. You think you're better than us now, huh? I smirked. I don't think it. I just am. Her face twisted with anger. You're nothing. Nothing. Then, splash, I didn't even see it coming. She grabbed a drink from a random customer's table and threw it at me. Cold beer soaked my chest. The whole lot went silent. A second later, 2 security guards tackled her to the ground. People gasped and whispered. Mom screamed. Let her go. She's your sister. I brushed off my wet shirt and turned to my head of security. Call the cops. Emily's eyes widened in horror. What? No, Logan, don't. I crouched down and spoke quietly. Actions have consequences. 10 minutes later, the cops showed up, blue and red lights flashing. Mom was hysterical. You're ruining the family name, she yelled. I just laughed. Lady, you did that yourself. They put Emily in the back of the cop car, crying and begging. She looked just like I did years ago when they humiliated me, but unlike them, I didn't care. Mom turned to me, her voice shaking. This is your sister. Do something. I crossed my arms. Oh, like how you did something when you gave me nothing and laughed in my face. She had no answer. I turned and walked back to my customers. Hope the beach house is worth it, I called over my shoulder. Then I went back to my successful business. They wanted to see me fail. They were getting front row seats to my success. After Emily's arrest, I thought they'd finally get the message. I was wrong. A week later, Mom and Dad showed up again. This time, they didn't look smug. They looked desperate. I was in a meeting when I saw them standing awkwardly near the entrance. For years, I felt small around them. Never good enough. Now, I was in control. I finished my meeting, made them wait a little longer, then walked over with my arms crossed. You're back, I said, casually. Let me guess. Emily sent you because she's too embarrassed to face me. Dad cleared his throat. We need to talk, Logan. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, Like when you laughed in my face and gave Emily a mansion while I got nothing? Mom pursed her lips. This isn't about the past. I laughed. Oh, it's about the past. If you hadn't treated me like dirt, you wouldn't be here begging me for help. Her eye twitched, but she kept calm. We're in trouble. I already knew. Emily had spent all her money trying to keep up her lifestyle. Her beach house was almost foreclosed because she kept refinancing it. Dad's business was losing money because of the economy and bad partners. They were sinking, and I was their only hope. Dad sighed. Logan, we're family, and family helps each other. I burst out laughing. That's rich. You didn't care about family when you screwed me over. Now that you're broke, it's all about family. Mom stiffened. You have more than enough to help us. Why are you being so spiteful? I stepped closer and lowered my voice. Spiteful? Oh no. Spiteful would be me buying your house just to kick you out. Their eyes widened. Dad's face went pale. You wouldn't. I smirked. Wouldn't I? I've been waiting for this moment. After Emily's meltdown and your sabotage attempts, I knew you'd come crawling. So, while you were sinking in debt, I was buying property. Guess what? The bank listed your house for sale, and I bought it. Mom's face turned white. No, she whispered. You're lying. I pulled out my phone, showed the email confirming the purchase. Logan Reed. New property purchase confirmed. Dad's hands shook. You bought our house? I cocked my head. You mean the house you told me wasn't mine anymore? The one where you let Emily treat me like garbage? Mom grabbed my arm. Please, Logan, don't take her home. I pulled away. Now you understand what it feels like to have something taken away. She started crying, but I didn't care. Then, I looked at them, took a deep breath, and said, you know what? I'm not heartless. I'll give you the house. Mom gasped. You will. Dad sighed in relief. I smiled. Sure, on one condition. They nodded quickly. Anything. I pulled out a prepared contract and showed them. You can live in it, but I own it. You'll pay me rent every month. No delays. Mom's jaw dropped. Logan, you can't be serious. I leaned in. Oh, I'm deadly serious. Dad swallowed. How much? I named the price, high, but fair for the market, high enough that they'd feel the weight of it every month. Mom's face twisted with anger. You're charging us to live in our own home? She spat. No, I grinned. I'm charging you to live in my home. Silence. Dad sighed. We don't have a choice, do we? I shrugged. Of course you do. There are cheap motels in town. Mom glared at me, but she knew she had lost. Slowly, with trembling hands, Dad signed the contract. Mom grabbed the pen, pressing it so hard that I thought she'd rip the paper. When they finished, I took the contract, folded it, and put it in my pocket. Pleasure doing business with you. I turned to leave. Logan, Dad called. If you walk away from this. I stopped and turned back. If I walk away? You mean like you walked away from me? Silence. I nodded. That's what I thought, and I walked away.
The moment my sister announced her pregnancy at my baby shower, I knew exactly whose child she was carrying. I'd known for weeks, but hearing the words come out of Sienna's mouth made my stomach turn. The pink and blue balloons suddenly felt like they were closing in on me, mocking the perfect life I'd pretended to have. My name is Melanie, and I was supposed to be celebrating my own miracle pregnancy after years of trying. Instead, I sat there, surrounded by friends and family, watching my younger sister steal my moment with the precision of a surgeon wielding a knife. I just couldn't keep it in any longer, Sienna squealed, her hand resting on her still flat stomach. I'm going to be a mommy too. The room erupted in excited chatter, but I kept my eyes fixed on my husband Leon. He stood frozen by the punch bowl, his face drained of color. 6 years of marriage, and I'd never seen him look so terrified. As we move through this narrative, we'd love to know where you're watching from today. Also, if these stories resonate with you, consider subscribing for daily episodes. Now, continuing our story. Oh my goodness, this is wonderful! My mother Violet exclaimed, rushing to embrace Sienna. Both my girls pregnant at the same time! Who's the father? The silence that followed was deafening. I counted the seconds, watching Sienna's perfectly glossed lips quiver. 3, 2, 1. I'd rather not say right now, she stammered. shooting a quick glance at Leon. I stood up slowly, steadying myself against the chair. Why don't you tell them, Sienna? Or should I? Melanie, please. Leon stepped forward, his voice trembling. We should talk about this privately. Private? I laughed, the sound harsh and foreign to my own ears. Like those private meetings you've been having with my sister for the past 3 months? Gasps filled the room. My friend Isabel grabbed my hand, squeezing it tight. Mel, breathe, she whispered. The father, I announced, my voice carrying across the stunned silence, is standing right there by the punch bowl. My husband, Leon. The room exploded into chaos. My mother collapsed into my father's arms, while Wendy, Leon's mother, stood rigid with shock. Sienna burst into tears, mascara running down her cheeks. How did you know? She sobbed. I pulled out my phone, fingers steady as I typed in my passcode. Because I have proof. Would anyone like to see the security camera footage from my own home? The cameras I installed 3 weeks ago when I first suspected something was wrong? You recorded us? Leon's face contorted with anger. That's illegal. Actually, it's not. I consulted a lawyer before installing cameras in my own home. Would you like to see yourself sneaking my sister in through the back door while I was at my prenatal appointments? Or maybe the footage from last Tuesday, when you thought I was having lunch with Isabel? Sienna lunged forward, reaching for my phone. Delete it! You can't show anyone! Watch me! I stepped back, cradling my bump protectively. You both chose to betray me in my own home, while I'm carrying your child, Leon. Did you think I wouldn't find out? I love him, Sienna blurted out, tears streaming down her face. We didn't mean for this to happen. I turned to face her, years of competitive sisterhood crystallizing into this moment. You didn't mean to sleep with my husband, multiple times, in my bed, while I was trying to help him build his political career. Melanie! My father's stern voice cut through the chaos. This isn't the way to handle family matters. Family matters? I echoed. Is that what we're calling adultery now? Leon approached me, hands raised in surrender. Baby, please, we can work this out. Think about our child. I am thinking about our child, I replied coldly. I'm thinking about how they deserve better than a father who cheats with their aunt. Wendy suddenly appeared at my side, her presence unexpected and steady. Leon, how could you do this to your wife, to your unborn child? The support from my mother-in-law, who had always been critical of me, nearly broke my composure. But I held firm, remembering the nights I'd spent crying while watching the footage, preparing for this moment. Everyone needs to leave, I announced, my voice steady. The party's over, and Leon, don't bother coming home tonight, or ever. As the guests filed out in shocked silence, Isabel stayed by my side. Sienna tried one last time to approach me, but Wendy stepped between us. You've done enough damage, Wendy told her coldly. When the last guest had gone, I sank into a chair, surrounded by cheerful baby shower decorations that now seemed like props in a horror show. Isabel brought me water, her hand rubbing circles on my back. What are you going to do now? She asked softly. I placed my hand on my stomach, feeling my baby kick. Now? Now I'm going to show the world exactly who Leon Hall really is. He wanted to be in the public eye so badly? Well, he's about to get his wish. I pulled up the video footage on my phone, my finger hovering over the upload button. 6 years of supporting his political dreams, of putting my filmmaking career on hold, of being the perfect politician's wife. All of it had led to this moment. Are you sure about this? Isabel asked. I pressed upload. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. The video had barely finished uploading when my phone started buzzing with notifications. I sat in my home office, surrounded by the equipment I'd once used for my documentaries, now collecting dust while I'd played the role of supportive political wife. Isabel paced behind me, biting her nails. The views are climbing fast, Mel. Really fast. Good. I clicked through the footage again, making sure I hadn't missed anything in the edit. The timestamps were clear, the audio crisp. There would be no denying what they'd done. My phone rang. Leon's campaign manager. Ignore. Another call. Sienna, ignore. My mother, ignore. Remember when we were in film school? I asked Isabel, gesturing to the awards on my shelf. My documentary about women in politics won that festival in Boston. How could I forget? You were brilliant. Isabel stopped pacing. And then you met Leon. The memory hit me like a punch to the gut. He was so charming back then, said all the right things about supporting my career, about how we'd be partners. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Parker, my old film school friend. I answered on speaker. Holy shit, Mel! His voice crackled through. Your video is everywhere. Twitter's exploding. Is it? I tried to sound casual, but my heart was racing. The rising star politician caught with his pregnant sister-in-law? It's media gold. But listen, that's not why I'm calling. The footage quality, the editing. You haven't lost your touch. I laughed bitterly. Glad my husband's affair could showcase my filmmaking skills. I'm serious, Mel. Remember that documentary series we talked about years ago? About women rebuilding their lives after betrayal? Before I could respond, the doorbell rang. Isabel peered through the window. It's your parents, she whispered, and they look pissed. I took a deep breath. Parker, I'll call you back. Opening the door, I faced my father's thunderous expression and my mother's tear-stained face. What have you done? My father pushed past me into the house. Do you have any idea what this will do to our family? Our family! I shut the door harder than necessary. You mean the family where my sister slept with my husband? We could have handled this privately, my mother pleaded. Now everyone knows. The neighbors, our church. Good. I stood my ground. Let them know. Let them see exactly who Sienna and Leon really are. You're carrying his child. My father's voice boomed through the house. Did you think about your baby's future before you posted that video? I thought about giving my child a mother who stands up for herself instead of playing pretend while being humiliated. My mother sank onto the couch. Sienna called us sobbing. She says she can't leave her apartment. Reporters are camped outside. That's rich, Isabel muttered. She didn't mind sneaking around when it suited her. My father turned on her. This doesn't concern you. Actually, it does, I cut in. Isabel has been more family to me than either of you right now. Where was this outrage when your younger daughter was destroying my marriage? The doorbell rang again. This time it was Wendy, carrying several bags. I brought your favorite pasta from Giovanni's, she announced, walking straight to the kitchen. And some of those chocolate cookies you've been craving. My parents stared in disbelief as Leon's mother began unpacking groceries like it was any normal day. Wendy, my mother started, surely you understand this public scandal isn't helping anyone. What I understand, Wendy replied sharply, is that my son and your daughter betrayed my pregnant daughter-in-law. The public scandal is their doing, not Melanie's. My father stepped forward. Now listen here. No, you listen. Wendy's voice could have frozen hell. I raised Leon better than this, and I'm ashamed of him. But I'm even more ashamed of you two, defending the indefensible. My phone buzzed again. Parker texting. Seriously, call me about the documentary. This could be your comeback. Looking around my office at the dusty equipment, I felt something stir inside me. Not just anger or hurt, but possibility. You know what? I addressed my parents. You're right. I did think about my baby's future. I thought about what kind of example I want to set. Should I teach them to stay quiet when they're wronged? To protect people who hurt them? Melanie, my mother began. No, I gave up my dreams to support Leon's career. I played the perfect wife while he... My voice cracked. While he slept with my sister. I'm done being quiet. Wendy appeared with a plate of cookies. Eat something, dear. The baby needs it. My father threw up his hands in frustration. This is insane. You're all insane. Maybe, I said, taking a cookie, but I'm not the one who cheated. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to call Parker back. I have a documentary to plan. As my parents left in angry silence, I caught Wendy smiling slightly. What? I asked. Nothing, she replied. I just remember when Leon first brought you home. I thought you were too ambitious, too independent for him. Now I realize he was never good enough for you. I picked up my phone, finding Parker's number. Maybe it was time to be ambitious again. The pounding on my front door started at 7 a.m. I knew it was Leon before I even checked the security camera feed on my phone. Wendy, who'd insisted on staying overnight, was already heading toward the door. "Don't," I called out. "Let him knock." "Melanie!" Leon's voice carried through the door. "I know you're in there. We need to talk." Wendy's face hardened. "That's my son out there, and I have some choice words for him." Before I could stop her, she yanked the door open. Leon stood there in his rumpled suit from yesterday, looking like he hadn't slept. "Mother?" His eyes widened. "What are you doing here?" "Supporting the woman you betrayed," Wendy replied coldly. "The one carrying my grandchild." Leon pushed past her into the house. "The video, Melanie, you have to take it down. My campaign team is in meltdown." "Your campaign team?" I laughed. "That's what you're worried about?" "This isn't just about us anymore." He ran his hands through his disheveled hair. "The party chairman called. They're withdrawing their support. Everything we worked for." "So, everything you worked for," I corrected him. "Well, I put my life on hold to be your perfect political wife." "Please," he stepped closer. "We can fix this. I'll do anything. Counseling, whatever you want." Wendy moved between us. "The time for fixing things was before you slept with her sister." "Mother, stay out of this." "Don't you dare speak to her like that," I snapped. "She's been more supportive than you've ever been." Leon's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, his face paling. "The local news wants a statement. Sienna's being harassed at work. This is getting out of control." "Out of control?" I walked to my office and returned with a USB drive. Like sneaking around behind my back wasn't out of control. "Here, want to watch the highlights reel?" "You're being vindictive," he accused. "No, I'm being honest. Something you should try sometime." His phone buzzed again. This time, he answered. "Yes, sir. No, sir. I understand. I'll be there in 20 minutes. After hanging up, he looked at me pleadingly. "That was the party chairman. He's giving me one chance to salvage this. Come with me. Tell them it was a misunderstanding, that the video was taken out of context." "Are you insane?" Wendy interjected. "You want her to lie for you?" "It's not lying, it's damage control." I placed my hand on my stomach, feeling my baby kick. "Get out!" "Melanie, get out." My voice was steel. "And take these with you." I threw a stack of papers at him. "Divorce papers. My lawyer dropped them off last night." Leon picked up the papers, his hands shaking. "You can't be serious. Think about the baby." "I am thinking about the baby. I'm thinking about how I don't want them growing up watching their father lie and cheat his way through life." "You've ruined everything," he spat, his charming politician's mask finally cracking. "My career, my reputation." "You ruined those things yourself," Wendy cut in. "Now leave before I forget you're my son." After Leon stormed out, my phone rang. It was Parker again. "Tell me you're watching the news," he said when I answered. "I'm trying not to." "Well, your story's gone viral. 3 networks want interviews. But forget them. I've got better news. Remember my producer friend at Summit Productions? She wants to meet about your documentary idea." I sat down hard. "What?" "Your video showed everyone you haven't lost your touch. Plus, you've got a built-in hook now. Personal experience with betrayal, revenge, redemption. It's compelling stuff." Wendy brought me a glass of water, concern on her face. I don't know, Parker. I'm about to be a single mom. I've got divorce proceedings to deal with." "Which is exactly why you should do this. When's the last time you felt excited about your work?" "Really excited?" I glanced at my old camera equipment, remembering the thrill of capturing real stories, of creating something meaningful. "The meeting's tomorrow at 10, Parker continued. "I'll pick you up. Say yes." Wendy squeezed my shoulder. "Say yes, dear. It's time you started living for yourself again." I took a deep breath. "Okay. Yes." After hanging up, I opened my laptop to find my inbox flooded with messages. One caught my eye, from Sienna. Please talk to me. I know I don't deserve it, but please. I'm so sorry. Wendy peered at the screen. Are you going to respond? I closed the laptop. Not today. Today, I'm going to dig out my old storyboards and start planning my comeback. That's my girl, Wendy smiled. And Melanie? For what it's worth, I always thought you were wasted on political wives' luncheons. I felt tears welling up, but for the first time in weeks, they weren't from sadness. Thank you, Wendy, for everything. Don't thank me yet, she replied, heading to the kitchen. Wait until you taste my morning sickness remedy. It's disgusting, but it works. I smiled, placing my hand on my bump again. Maybe, just maybe, something good could come from all this pain. Parker's Tesla pulled up to Summit Productions exactly at 9:45 a.m. I smoothed my maternity dress, trying to look professional despite my growing bump. Stop fidgeting, Parker said, opening my door. You look great. I look like I'm smuggling a watermelon. You look like a badass filmmaker who's about to get her second chance. The lobby was all glass and chrome, worlds away from the political fundraisers I'd gotten used to. A receptionist led us to a conference room where Sarah, the producer Parker had mentioned, was waiting. Melanie! She stood to greet me. Your video's gotten 3 million views since yesterday. But more importantly, the raw emotion, the timing of those cuts. Brilliant work. I settled into a chair. Thank you, though I wish the subject matter had been different. That's exactly what I want to talk about. Sarah pulled out a tablet. Your story, successful woman betrayed by husband and sister, using her art to expose the truth. It's compelling. But what if we went bigger? Bigger? A documentary series. Women who faced betrayal and emerged stronger. Your story would be the thread that ties it all together, but we'd feature others too. Show how different women handle similar pain. My phone buzzed. Another message from Sienna. I turned it face down. Speaking of pain, Parker interjected, have you seen the morning news? Sarah nodded. Your husband's press conference? Already trending. What press conference? Sarah turned her tablet toward me, showing Leon standing at a podium, Sienna by his side. My stomach lurched. Deeply regret any pain we've caused, Leon was saying. While the circumstances are unfortunate, Sienna and I are committed to taking responsibility for our actions and moving forward together. Turn it off, I whispered. They're trying to control the narrative, Parker said. Make themselves look like star-crossed lovers instead of cheaters, which is exactly why your documentary could be so powerful. Sarah leaned forward. Let's tell the real story, not just yours, but every woman who's been told to stay quiet, to save face, to think of the family. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my mother. Have you seen the news? Please call us. We can still fix this. Fix what? I muttered. Their public image? Use it, Sarah said. Channel that anger into something meaningful. Summit's prepared to offer you full creative control and a budget that'll let you do this right. Before I could respond, the conference room door burst open. Isabel rushed in, out of breath. Sorry to interrupt, but you need to see this. She held up her phone, showing a social media post from Sienna. My sister's video only showed one side. The truth is more complicated. Leon and I found love in an impossible situation. We never meant to hurt anyone. Found love? My voice shook. In my house? While I was pregnant? There's more. Isabel scrolled down. People are actually defending them, calling it a love story. Some are saying you're the villain for exposing them. Sarah watched me carefully. How does that make you feel? Like I want to scream. I stood up, pacing. Like I want everyone to know what it feels like to have your life blown apart by the two people you trusted most. So tell them, Parker said quietly. Not through revenge videos, but through real stories. Show them what betrayal really looks like, what survival really costs. My phone buzzed yet again. A text from Wendy. Don't let their press conference get to you. You're stronger than their lies. Looking around the room, at Parker's encouragement, Isabel's fierce loyalty, Sarah's professional interest, I felt something click into place. If we do this, I turned to Sarah, I want to interview them too. Other betrayed spouses, other siblings who've been betrayed. Show all sides of what infidelity does to families. Absolutely. Sarah was already taking notes. We could start production next month. I'm pregnant, I reminded her. Due in 4 months. Even better. Your journey through pregnancy, divorce, and professional rebirth? That's compelling television. And healing, Parker added. Don't forget that part. My phone lit up with another message from Sienna. Please, let me explain. I never meant for any of this to happen. I picked up the phone, finally ready to respond. You're right. The truth is complicated. That's why I'm going to tell all of it. Does that mean you're in? Sarah asked. I looked at my reflection in the conference room window. Pregnant, scared, but somehow stronger than I'd been in years. I'm in, but I want to start filming today, right now, while their press conference is still fresh. Sarah grinned. I'll have contracts drawn up within the hour. Parker, can you get a crew together? Already texting them. Isabel squeezed my hand. You're really doing this? Yes, I said, feeling more certain with each passing moment. It's time to show the world what really happens after the affair is exposed, after the scandal dies down, after the pretty lies fall apart. And what happens then? Sarah asked. Then? I smiled, thinking of my baby, my future, my rediscovered passion. Then we rise from the ashes, and we film every second of it. 2 weeks into filming, my living room had become a makeshift studio. Camera equipment replaced the political campaign photos I'd taken down, and release forms covered the coffee table where Leon's polling data used to sit. Tell me about the moment you first suspected something was wrong, Parker asked from behind the camera. I adjusted my position on the couch, one hand resting on my growing belly. It was little things at first. Leon working late, Sienna showing up at odd hours, claiming she was just in the neighborhood. Cut, Sarah called from her director's chair. Melanie, that's good. But let's dig deeper. What did it feel like? Before I could answer, the doorbell rang. Through the security camera feed, I saw Wendy standing there with several shopping bags. 5-minute break, Sarah announced as I went to answer the door. I brought maternity clothes, Wendy announced, bustling in. And before you protest, these are designer pieces from my boutique. The camera will love them. Mom? A familiar voice called from behind her. I froze as Leon stepped into view. What are you doing here? I backed away. I invited him, Wendy said firmly. It's time you two discuss the divorce terms face to face. With a film crew present? The crew can leave, Leon said quickly. Please, Melanie, 10 minutes? Sarah caught my eye from across the room, raising an eyebrow. I nodded slightly, and she ushered everyone out, leaving just me, Leon, and Wendy. I'll be in the kitchen, Wendy said. Behave yourselves. Leon looked around the transformed living room. So you're really doing this? Making a documentary? Yes. Unlike some people, I'm not hiding from the truth. That's not fair. Sienna and I... Don't, I cut him off. Don't say her name in my house. He sat heavily on the couch. The divorce papers. I'll sign them, but I want joint custody. Absolutely not. That's my child, too. The child you were so concerned about while sleeping with my sister? I laughed bitterly. The one you thought about during your press conference with her? We had to do something. Your video destroyed my career, my reputation. Your actions destroyed those things, I corrected him. I just pressed record. Leon leaned forward, his politician's mask cracking. What do you want from me, Melanie? Money? I'll give you whatever you want. Just stop this documentary. What I want? I felt my baby kick, as if reinforcing my resolve. I want you to feel what I felt. I want you to know what it's like to have your whole world exposed as a lie. It wasn't all a lie. His voice softened. We had good years, didn't we? Did we? Or was I just a convenient stepping stone for your ambitions? Wendy appeared in the doorway. Everything okay in here? Fine. Leon stood up. I'll have my lawyer contact yours about the custody arrangements. Don't bother, I said. You'll get supervised visitation. That's my final offer. You can't do this. Actually, she can, Wendy interjected. And before you argue, remember that video evidence of adultery tends to influence family court judges. Leon's face reddened. Mother, whose side are you on? The side of right and wrong, she replied calmly. Something I clearly failed to teach you properly. After Leon stormed out, Sarah poked her head in. Everything okay? Because that would have made amazing footage. It's fine, I managed a smile. But I think I know what I want to film next. What's that? I want to interview other mothers-in-law, women who've had to choose between loyalty to their children and loyalty to what's right. Wendy's eyes welled up. Oh dear. Would you be my first interview? I asked her. She wiped her eyes. Of course, but first, you need to try on these clothes and eat something. That baby needs nourishment. As Wendy fussed over me, Sarah started setting up the equipment again. Parker came in with a fresh memory card. You okay? He asked quietly. That couldn't have been easy. Actually, it was. I touched my bump gently. For the first time since this all happened, I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Speaking of where you're supposed to be, Sarah interrupted. Your first interview with another betrayed wife is tomorrow. She's a corporate lawyer whose husband had an affair with his assistant. Classic, Parker muttered. Not classic, I corrected him. Real, painful, important. That's what this documentary's about. The real stories behind the headlines and cliches. Wendy returned with a plate of fruit. Eat. Then we'll film my interview. I have quite a few things to say about my son's behavior. Are you sure? I asked. He's still your son. Yes, and I love him. But loving someone doesn't mean excusing their mistakes. She straightened my dress collar. Now, let's show the world what real family loyalty looks like. I picked up a strawberry, watching my crew prepare for the next shot. 6 months ago, I'd been playing the perfect political wife. Now I was creating something real, something honest, something that might actually help others. Maybe betrayal hadn't destroyed my life after all. Maybe it had just shown me who I really was. The coffee shop was neutral territory, which is why I agreed to meet Sienna there. 7 months pregnant and deep into filming, I hadn't seen my sister since the baby shower disaster. Parker insisted on coming with me, camera in hand. We don't have to film this, he said as we walked in. Yes, we do. The story isn't complete without her side. Sienna was already there, fidgeting with her cup. Her baby bump was visible now, smaller than mine, but unmistakable. She stood when she saw me, uncertainty written across her face. Mel, she started. Sit down, I said, lowering myself carefully into a chair. You wanted to talk. So talk. She glanced at Parker's camera. Does that have to be here? You didn't mind cameras when you were doing press conferences with Leon. Sienna flinched. I deserve that. I deserve all of it. But please, can we talk just as sisters first? I nodded to Parker, who stepped back but kept rolling. Sisters? I laughed quietly. Is that what we are? I know I ruined everything. Tears welled in her eyes. But you have to understand, I never meant to fall in love with my husband, to get pregnant with his child, to destroy my marriage, any of it. She wiped her eyes. It just happened, and then it kept happening, and I couldn't stop. Couldn't or wouldn't. A waitress approached with my decaf tea. The normalcy of the moment, 2 pregnant sisters having coffee, felt surreal. Both, Sienna admitted. Leon he made me feel special, important, like I wasn't just your screw-up little sister anymore. And now? Does he make you feel special when he's meeting with his lawyers about custody arrangements? When he's trying to salvage what's left of his career? She stared into her cup. He's different now, distant. The press coverage, losing the election nomination. He's not the same person. He's exactly the same person, I corrected her. You're just seeing him clearly for the first time. Parker moved closer with the camera as Sienna's tears fell faster. Mom and Dad won't talk to me anymore, she whispered. They say they're ashamed. That's rich, considering how they defended you both at first. They were trying to protect the family name, but now, she placed a hand on her bump. Now they say I've ruined everything. The family, your marriage, my own future. For the first time, I felt a flicker of sympathy. You did ruin those things, but maybe that's not the end of the story. She looked up, hope crossing her face. What do you mean? My documentary. It's not just about exposing affairs. It's about what happens after. How people rebuild or don't. How families either heal or fall apart completely. And which are we? She asked softly. I don't know yet, but I do know this. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just disappointed. In you, in Leon, in how easily you both threw away everything that mattered. A kick from my baby made me wince. Sienna noticed. Do you know what you're having? A girl. You. A boy. She smiled sadly. They'll be cousins. They'll be something, I agreed. But what that looks like depends on you. On whether you're really sorry or just sorry you got caught. Parker's camera caught the moment Sienna broke down completely. I'm sorry for everything, she sobbed. For betraying you, for the press conference, for not being a better sister. I don't expect forgiveness, but please don't cut me out completely. I took a sip of my tea, letting the moment stretch. So, I'm interviewing women who've been through similar situations, I finally said. Some have reconciled with their families, some haven't, but they all had to face the truth first. What truth? That actions have consequences. That I'm sorry doesn't fix everything. That rebuilding trust takes more than tears and promises. She nodded slowly. I want to do better, to be better. For my son, if nothing else. Then prove it. I stood up, one hand supporting my back. Start by telling the truth on camera. No more love story spin, no more excuses. Just honesty. Now? Now? I nodded to Parker, who adjusted his camera. Tell everyone what really happened, Sienna. Not the press conference version. The truth. She took a deep breath, looking directly into the lens. My name is Sienna, and I slept with my sister's husband. This is what really happened. As she began to speak, I watched my little sister finally take responsibility for her actions. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet. But maybe it was a start. Parker caught my eye over the camera, giving me a thumbs up. This was the raw honesty my documentary needed. The messy, painful truth about betrayal and its aftermath. My daughter kicked again, stronger this time. I pressed my hand to the spot, thinking about the future. About two cousins who didn't ask for any of this drama. About sisters who might, someday, find a way forward. But first, we had to tell the truth. All of it. No matter how much it hurt. 5 minutes to screening, Sarah called out across the private theater. My heart was racing as I watched the industry professionals and early viewers file in. 8 months pregnant and wearing a dress Wendy had picked out, I stood in the back, gripping Parker's arm. The documentary was finally ready for its first test audience. Breathe, Parker whispered. You've got this. What if they hate it? What if it's too personal? That's exactly why they'll love it. Isabel appeared with a glass of water. Because it's real. The lights dimmed. My stomach clenched as the opening scene began. The security camera footage that had started everything, but now intercut with interviews, revealing the deeper story behind the viral scandal. Leon's voice filled the theater. I lost everything because I couldn't be honest. With my wife, with myself, with anyone. Then Sienna. We thought we were living some great love story, but we were just two selfish people destroying someone we claimed to love. I felt movement beside me. Wendy had arrived, taking my other arm. You should be sitting down, she whispered. I can't. I need to watch their reactions. On screen, the story expanded beyond my personal drama. A CEO's wife described discovering her husband's decade-long affair. A teacher shared how her sister had betrayed her with her fiancé. Each story wove together with mine, creating a tapestry of betrayal, resilience, and redemption. Halfway through, I heard sniffling from the audience. Several women were wiping their eyes. A few men shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Then came the scene that still hurt to watch, my confrontation with Leon over custody. "You can't keep my child from me!" His voice boomed through the speakers. "I'm not," my on-screen self replied calmly. "I'm protecting her from learning the wrong lessons about love and loyalty." The theater grew silent as the scene played out. I felt my baby kick, as if she knew we were watching her father. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through my abdomen. I grabbed Parker's arm tighter. "You okay?" he whispered. "Just Braxton Hicks," I assured him, though something felt different this time. The documentary continued, showing Sienna's raw confession at the coffee shop, followed by interviews with therapists discussing the psychology of infidelity and betrayal. Then came Wendy's powerful testimony about choosing truth over family loyalty. Another pain hit, stronger this time. Wendy noticed my grimace. "Melanie?" She touched my arm. "Is it time?" No, it can't be. I'm not due for another week." The film reached its climax. A montage of all the women interviewed, including me, talking about moving forward. About finding strength in vulnerability. About turning pain into purpose. As the final scene faded to black, I felt liquid running down my leg. "Oh, God," I whispered. The lights came up as the credits rolled. The audience burst into applause, but I barely heard it through the rushing in my ears. "My water just broke," I announced quietly. Parker sprang into action. "Sarah, we need to get Melanie to the hospital." The applause turned to concerned murmurs as Sarah rushed over. "But the Q&A session," she started. "We'll have to wait," Wendy cut in firmly. "This baby has her own timing." Isabel already had her phone out. "I'm calling your doctor." As they helped me toward the exit, a voice called out from the audience. "Is everything okay?" "The star of our documentary is about to become a mother," Sarah announced. "I'd say that's a perfect ending, wouldn't it?" More applause erupted, along with calls of "good luck" and "congratulations." In the car, between contractions, I called Sienna. We'd been talking more since her interview, taking small steps toward healing. "It's happening," I told her. "Your niece is coming." "Now? But the screening." Apparently, she wanted to make her own dramatic entrance. Another contraction hit. "Listen, I know we planned to wait, but would you come to the hospital? Not in the room, but nearby?" The line went quiet for a moment. "Really? You want me there?" "You're still my sister, and she's still your niece." Parker drove while Wendy held my hand in the back seat. Isabel followed in her car with my hospital bag. "Should we call Leon?" Wendy asked quietly. I shook my head. "The custody agreement says he gets notified after she's born, not before." Another contraction came as we pulled up to the hospital. Through the pain, I thought about the documentary, about all the women who'd shared their stories of survival. Now I was about to write the next chapter of my own story. "The screening!" I gasped as they helped me out of the car. "We didn't even get to hear what they thought." "Are you kidding?" Parker grinned. "Your baby just gave us the most dramatic ending possible. They loved it." As they wheeled me into the hospital, I realized he was right. This wasn't just an ending, it was a beginning. For me, for my daughter, for all the women who would see their own stories reflected in mine. "Ready?" Wendy squeezed my hand. I nodded through another contraction. Ready for everything. And the award for Best Documentary Feature goes to After the Affair, Stories of Betrayal and Redemption by Melanie Hall. The audience erupted in applause as I made my way to the stage, my 4-month-old daughter Emma sleeping peacefully against my chest in her carrier. This wasn't how acceptance speeches usually went at prestigious film festivals, but I'd refused to leave her with anyone else. "Thank you," I began, adjusting the microphone. This film started as an act of revenge, but it became something much more important. To all the women who shared their stories, who turned their pain into power, this is for you. In the front row, I saw Wendy dabbing her eyes. Next to her sat Sienna, her own son nestled in her arms. Our children, born just 2 weeks apart, had become an unexpected bridge between us. To my daughter, I continued, touching Emma's back gently, who kicked through every interview and made her grand entrance at our first screening. You taught me that new beginnings can come from broken endings. After the ceremony, the theater lobby buzzed with conversation. Critics and industry professionals crowded around, but I was focused on the group of women gathered near the refreshment table. My documentary subjects, all here to celebrate. You did us proud. Maria, the CEO's wife, hugged me carefully around Emma. My divorce was finalized yesterday, and watching this film reminded me why I'm stronger for walking away. Speaking of walking away, Isabel appeared with her phone. Have you seen the news? Leon's political comeback attempt just failed spectacularly. I heard, I nodded. Turns out voters have long memories when it comes to scandal. Good, Wendy joined us. Maybe now he'll focus on being a decent father during his visitation hours instead of chasing power. Parker approached with a champagne flute of ginger ale. Sorry to interrupt, but Netflix is interested. They want to turn this into a series, featuring new stories each episode. Really? I shifted Emma, who was starting to stir. That's exactly what these stories deserve, Sienna finished, stepping forward. More platforms, more voices, more truth. Looking at my sister, I saw genuine change in her eyes. The past months hadn't been easy. There were still awkward family dinners and tense moments, but we were finding our way forward. Will you help? I asked her. With the series? Your interview was one of the most powerful parts of the film. You want me to work with you? As a producer, you understand both sides of betrayal now. That perspective could be valuable. She blinked back tears, careful not to disturb her sleeping son. I'd like that. Speaking of perspective, Sarah called from across the lobby. The Hollywood Reporter review is in. They're calling it a raw, unflinching look at infidelity that somehow manages to find hope without forgiveness. Without forgiveness? My mother's voice came from behind me. I turned to find both my parents standing there, looking uncertain. Dad? Mom? I didn't know you were coming. Wendy invited us, my father said gruffly. We've been wrong about a lot of things. We watched the documentary last week, my mother added. It helped us understand everything. Emma chose that moment to wake up, her tiny fists waving. My mother's eyes locked onto her granddaughter. May I? She asked hesitantly. I carefully transferred Emma to her arms, watching as my daughter worked her usual magic. My mother's face softened instantly. She looks just like you did as a baby, she whispered. Strong like her mother, too, my father added. Parker appeared with his camera, ever the documentarian. Mind if I capture this? Might be good for the series pitch. I nodded, watching through his viewfinder as my fractured family began to heal. Sienna showing her son to our father, Wendy discussing Netflix negotiations with Sarah, Isabel coordinating with other documentary subjects about future interviews. Emma's happy gurgle drew my attention back to the present moment. You know, my mother said quietly, when you first posted that video, I thought you were destroying our family. But you weren't, were you? You were forcing us to face the truth. Truth hurts sometimes, I replied. But lies hurt more. And now? She asked. What truth are you chasing next? I looked around the lobby at all these strong women, each with their own story of survival. At my sister, learning to live with her choices. At my daughter, who would grow up knowing her mother's strength. Now? I smiled. Now we tell more stories. We give more voices to the voiceless. We show that betrayal doesn't have to be the end of your story. It can be the beginning of a better one. Emma reached for me, and I took her back, breathing in her sweet baby scent. Ready to make more movies, little one? I whispered. She grabbed my necklace, the one Wendy had given me in the hospital, and gurgled again. I'll take that as a yes, Parker laughed, still filming. Standing there, surrounded by family, both old and new, broken and rebuilt, I finally felt complete. Not because I'd won an award, or because I'd gotten revenge, but because I'd found my voice again. And this time, I was never going to let anyone silence it.
I stared at the anniversary dinner I'd spent hours preparing, now cold and untouched on our dining room table. The candles had burned down to stubs, casting weak shadows across the perfectly plated beef Wellington that Riley would never taste. My husband of 12 years had just told me he was leaving me for my sister. I'm Hope, and until exactly 47 minutes ago, I thought I had the perfect life, a successful catering business, a beautiful 5-year-old daughter, and what I believed was a rock-solid marriage. Funny how quickly perfection can shatter. Mommy? Lexi's small voice pulled me from my daze. Why are you crying? I quickly wiped my eyes, forcing a smile. Just tired, sweetie. Shouldn't you be in bed? Daddy didn't kiss me goodnight. Her bottom lip trembled. Come here. I pulled her onto my lap, breathing in her strawberry shampoo. Daddy had to work late, but I'll give you extra kisses to make up for it. After tucking Lexi in, I collapsed onto the kitchen floor, my phone buzzing incessantly. 12 missed calls from Delaney. Of course she'd try to explain, to justify why my little sister had been sleeping with my husband for the past 8 months. The phone buzzed again. This time a text from Camilla. Girl, where are you? Call me now. I hit dial, my hands shaking. He's gone, I whispered when she picked up. What do you mean gone? Hope, what happened? He's leaving me for Delaney. Saying it out loud made bile rise in my throat. They've been together since Christmas, when she came to stay with us after her breakup with Jake. That little snake, Camilla's voice cracked with anger. While you were letting her cry on your shoulder about Jake, she was planning her future with my husband. I stood up, mechanically starting to clear the table. He said they're in love, that it just happened. Things like that don't just happen, Camilla spat. Where are you? I'm coming over. No, stay home. Lexi's asleep, and I need to process this. At least tell me what triggered this confession. Did you catch them? Worse. I picked up Riley's untouched wine glass. He waited until I'd spent all day preparing his favorite meal, until I'd lit the candles and poured the wine. Then he told me how sorry he was, but he and Delaney couldn't hide their feelings anymore. On your anniversary, that bastard. I dumped the perfect beef Wellington into the trash, watching 12 years of marriage follow it down. He said they wanted to do this right, be honest before. My phone pinged with a new email. I nearly dropped it when I saw the sender, Delaney Shaw Events. Hold on, I told Camilla, opening the email with trembling fingers. Oh my God. What? What is it? It's a wedding invitation. They're getting married in 6 weeks. My voice sounded distant, hollow. And there's a note from Delaney. Don't read it, delete it right now. But I couldn't stop myself. Dearest Hope, I know this is a shock, and I'm so sorry for the pain we've caused. But you've always been more than my sister. You're my best friend. It would mean everything to have you there, not just as family, but as our caterer. Your food has always been the highlight of every family event. Please say you'll do this for us, for family, love, Delaney. She wants me to cater their wedding? I laughed, a harsh, broken sound. For free, of course, because we're family. Tell her to go to hell. I sank into a kitchen chair, my mind racing. Wait, maybe I should do it. Have you lost your mind? Think about it. Everyone in town knows my catering business. If I refuse, people will talk. They'll say I'm bitter, unprofessional. It could ruin everything I've built. Hope. And Lexi? She needs to see her family together, even if we're broken. She's already asking questions about why Daddy left. This is insane. You can't... Another text popped up, this one from Riley. Please say yes to Delaney's request. It would mean so much to Lexi to have you there. We can make this work, for her sake. My hands clenched into fists. They were using my daughter, my business, my whole life as leverage, playing me like they probably had been for months. You know what? I said, my voice steadier now. I will cater their wedding. I'll create the most beautiful, memorable celebration they've ever seen. Hope, don't do this to yourself. No, you don't understand. I stood up, a plan already forming. If they want me to be part of their perfect day, I'll give them exactly what they deserve. Every last bite of it. I could hear Camilla's concern through the phone, but my mind was made up. They wanted a wedding to remember? I'd make sure no one ever forgot it. The bell above my bakery door chimed, and there she stood, my baby sister, clutching her wedding planning binder like a shield. 2 weeks had passed since Riley's confession, but seeing Delaney still felt like a punch to the gut. "Hope," she said softly, stepping toward my counter. "You haven't returned any of my calls." I continued piping buttercream roses onto a birthday cake, refusing to look up. "I've been busy. Single motherhood does that." "About the wedding?" She placed the binder on my workspace, forcing me to acknowledge her. "Have you thought about my request? You mean your demand that I cater your wedding to my husband?" The rose I was piping collapsed under sudden pressure. "For free?" "Not free exactly. We'd cover ingredients, of course." She touched my arm. I jerked away. "And think of the exposure. All those potential clients." "Don't." I finally met her eyes. "Don't pretend this is about helping my business." "It's about family," she insisted. "About Lexi having all of us together. She's so confused right now. Because her aunt stole her father." The words exploded out of me, making a customer browsing nearby jump. Delaney's eyes filled with tears. "We never meant to hurt anyone. It just happened. Haven't you ever felt something so powerful you couldn't fight it?" "Yes, it's called loyalty." I grabbed my phone, pulling up my calendar. "You want me to cater? Fine. But we're doing this professionally. Sit down." She perched on a stool, wiping her eyes. "Really? You'll do it?" 200 guests, you said?" I started typing. "That's normally a $20,000 minimum. I'll need a deposit." "Hope we can't afford that. You know I'm between jobs, and with Riley's divorce costs." I slammed my phone down. "His divorce costs? You mean the divorce he's paying for because you two couldn't keep your hands off each other?" "Please," she whispered. "I'll help with the prep, like when we were kids, baking with Mom." The mention of our mother sent a fresh wave of pain through me. Don't you dare use Mom." She would have wanted us to stay close, no matter what. "She would have been ashamed of you." Delaney flinched, but pressed on. What if I give you my inheritance? The money Mom left me for my wedding day?" I laughed bitterly. "You mean the money she left both of us? The money you convinced me to let you hold on to because I was already married?" "Take it all," she said. "Please, Hope. No one else can do this. Your food, it's always been magical. Special." My phone buzzed. A text from Riley. "Lexi's asking for you. Parent-teacher conference tomorrow at 2. Please come." I closed my eyes, remembering Lexi's tears this morning when she realized Daddy wasn't coming home again. "Fine, I'll do it." "Really?" Delaney jumped up to hug me. I stepped back. "But I have conditions. I handle everything my way. No interference, no special requests. And I need access to your house to prep." "Of course! Anything!" She was practically bouncing. "I'll give you the spare key today." "Oh, Hope, thank you." After she left, I retreated to my office, hands shaking as I opened my laptop. I needed to start planning the menu, but first... "You're actually doing this?" Camilla's voice came through my office phone speaker. "I don't have a choice. It's about Lexi now." "It's about revenge," she said. "Not that I blame you." I started typing out menu ideas. "I'm being professional, taking the high road." "Sure you are." She paused. "Hey, speaking of professional, I need to grab something from your office computer. Mind if I remote in?" "Go ahead." I authorized her access, watching her cursor move across my screen. "What are you looking for?" "Just some contract templates." "Oh wait, what's this?" A video file popped up, one I'd never seen before. The thumbnail showed my kitchen. "Must be from my security camera," I said. "I had it installed last month after that break-in down the street." Camilla clicked play. My kitchen appeared, dark except for the light above the stove. 2 figures moved into frame, Riley and Delaney. "Oh my God," I whispered. Their voices filled my office. "We have to tell her," Delaney was saying, "before the baby." I froze. Baby? Shh, listen, Camilla hissed. Riley pulled Delaney close. We will. After I move the money. Hope's not stupid, she'll check the accounts first thing. How much are you taking? Everything I can. Her business loans, Lexi's college fund. I slammed the laptop shut, bile rising in my throat. A baby. They were having a baby, and Riley was planning to clean out our accounts. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Riley. Don't forget tomorrow, 2 p.m. Lexi needs both her parents there. I picked up my phone, rage making my fingers steady as I typed. I'll be there, and I'd love to cater the wedding. In fact, I have some special surprises planned. Camilla's voice came through the speaker. Hope, what are you thinking? I reopened my laptop, the incriminating video still paused on the screen. I'm thinking it's time to start planning the menu and the entertainment. A video wall inside the cake? Camilla leaned forward across my kitchen island, eyes wide. That's either brilliant or completely insane. I pulled up the design on my tablet. The latest in edible LED screens. Completely food safe. When they cut into the cake, it'll activate. And play their little kitchen confession for everyone to see, she whistled. That's cold. I love it. They wanted special. I swiped through more designs. I'm giving them special. The parent-teacher conference that afternoon had been the final straw. Sitting there next to Riley, pretending everything was fine while Ms. Thompson talked about Lexi's adjustment issues. Watching him check his phone every 5 minutes, probably texting Delaney. Have you thought about the fallout? Camilla grabbed a piece of the sample cake I'd been working on. This could hurt your business. Already handled. I pulled out a stack of contracts. I've been calling all my regular clients, locking in dates for the next year. Most are happy to pre-book with a discount. Smart, she flipped through the papers. Mind if I take these? Could help with some contracts I'm working on? Sure. I turned back to my tablet. The tricky part will be the timing. The video needs to play right when... Mom! Lexi burst into the kitchen, backpack bouncing. Aunt Delaney's here! My sister followed behind, carrying a garment bag. Sorry to barge in, but I need your opinion on the bridesmaid dresses. Now? I glanced at Camilla, who was quickly gathering the contracts. Please? Delaney's hand drifted to her stomach, a gesture I wouldn't have noticed if I hadn't known. The boutique needs an answer today. I should go, Camilla stood, hugging me. Call me later about those cake details. After she left, Delaney unzipped the garment bag, revealing a pale pink dress. What do you think? I know it's not your usual style, but... You want me to be a bridesmaid? I couldn't keep the edge from my voice. Of course, you're my sister. She touched my arm. My only sister. Mommy, it's so pretty. Lexi ran her fingers over the silk, like a princess dress. I looked at my daughter's excited face, then at my sister's hopeful one. The sister who was carrying my husband's baby, who was helping him steal my money, who had the nerve to stand in my kitchen asking me to celebrate her betrayal. It's perfect, I said, surprising myself with how steady my voice was. Just like everything else will be. Really? Delaney hugged me, and I forced myself not to stiffen. Oh, I was so worried you'd say no. And speaking of perfect, how's the menu planning going? Wonderfully. I moved to my recipe books, carefully angling my tablet away. I'm thinking of doing that chocolate ganache cake you always loved, with some modern touches. The one Mom used to make? Her eyes lit up. That would be amazing. And expensive, I added. The ingredients alone. Use Mom's wedding money, she said quickly. Whatever you need, I trust you completely. Those words hit like a knife. Trust. Like I had trusted her with my husband, my home, my life. Aunt Delaney, Lexi tugged at her aunt's sleeve. Can I try on the dress? It's a bit big for you, sweetie. Delaney knelt down. But guess what? We're getting you an even prettier one. You're going to be our flower girl. I gripped the counter, knuckles white. They hadn't even asked me. Really? Lexi squealed. Mommy, did you hear? I heard. I managed a smile. Why don't you go do your homework while Aunt Delaney and I discuss the menu? Once Lexi was gone, I turned to my sister. You should have asked me first. We thought it would help her adjust. Delaney's hand went to her stomach again. Make her feel included in the changes. Changes? I laughed sharply. Is that what we're calling it? Hope, please. Can't we just... My tablet chimed with a calendar alert. Bank appointment. Review accounts. I have to go, I cut her off. Business meeting. Let yourself out? At the bank, my worst fears were confirmed. Riley had already transferred most of our joint accounts to a new one in his name, including half of Lexi's college fund. I sat in my car afterward, hands shaking as I called Camilla. He took the money, I said when she answered. Just like in the video. That settles it then. Her voice was hard. The cake plan is on. I don't know. Using the video feels so public. Maybe I should just go to a lawyer. And what? Fight him in court while he and Delaney play happy family with your daughter? While they spend your money on their new baby? I touched my tablet, where the cake design glowed. A beautiful trap, waiting to be sprung. You're right, I said finally. The wedding's in 4 weeks. I need to start ordering supplies. That's my girl. Camilla paused. Hey, speaking of supplies, any chance I could get access to your vendor list? For research? I barely heard her question, already lost in planning the perfect revenge. Sure, whatever you need. I'm thinking we should add speakers to the cake design. Make sure everyone hears every word. The fondant needs to be exactly 2 millimeters thick, I instructed my kitchen staff, watching them roll out sheets of pristine white icing. Any thicker, and it'll interfere with the electronics. 2 days before the wedding, and my commercial kitchen hummed with activity. Every surface covered with flowers, decorations, and partially assembled cake tiers. The perfect crime scene in progress. Hope? A familiar voice made me turn. Nick, Riley's father, stood in the doorway. You can't be back here, I said quickly. Health code regulations. He stepped in anyway, looking around at the elaborate preparations. Quite a production you've got going. Did Riley send you to check up on me? No. He touched one of the sugar flowers. I came on my own, been trying to work up the courage to talk to you. I gestured for my staff to take a break, waiting until we were alone. There's nothing to talk about. I disagree. Nick pulled out a chair. Sit with me, please. Something in his voice made me comply. Nick had always been more of a father to me than my own dad. I'm sorry, he said simply, for what my son did to you, to this family. You don't have to. Yes, I do. He leaned forward. I raised him better than this, or I thought I did. I focused on arranging sugar flowers, trying to keep my hands steady. It doesn't matter now. It matters to me. He reached into his jacket. And this matters too. He placed a check on the counter. I glanced at it and gasped. The amount would cover all the money Riley had taken, plus more. I can't accept this. You can, and you will. His voice was firm. Consider it Lexi's college fund. Put it in an account only you can access. Nick, I know what you're planning, he said quietly. My hands froze on the sugar flowers. What? The cake, the video, all of it. He held up a hand as I started to protest. Your supplier called me by mistake last week about the LED screens. Thought I was still handling the wedding finances. Are you going to tell them? No. He stood up. But I am going to ask you one question. Is this really who you want to be? They deserve it, I whispered. After what they did. Probably. He headed for the door. But do you deserve what it'll do to you? I stared at the check after he left, his words echoing in my head. The kitchen door swung open again. Everything okay? Camilla walked in, carrying coffee. You look like you've seen a ghost. Nick knows. I told her about his visit. Maybe he's right. Maybe I should... Stop right there. She set the coffee down hard. Have you forgotten about the baby? About how they're planning to play happy family with your daughter? No, but... And what about your business? She gestured around the kitchen. I've been hearing things. Delaney's been calling your clients, telling them she's taking over your accounts after the wedding, that with Riley's connections, she can offer better deals. My blood ran cold. What? Check your emails. Several clients tried to contact you about it. I grabbed my phone, finding messages I'd somehow missed. 3 major clients expressing concerns about their contracts. They're trying to destroy everything I've built, I whispered. Exactly. Camilla picked up one of the sugar flowers. So what are you going to do about it? I looked at the half-assembled cake tiers, each one containing carefully hidden speakers and screens. At Nick's check, representing everything they'd tried to take from me. The plan stays, I said firmly, but I need your help with something else. Anything. I want to record a new introduction for the video, something more personal. She grinned. Now you're talking. What did you have in mind? I outlined my idea as we walked through the kitchen, past staff returning to work on the cake that would destroy my sister's wedding. Each tier was a ticking bomb of betrayal, set to explode at the perfect moment. Just promise me one thing, Camilla said as she left. Don't lose your nerve, no matter what anyone says. I picked up Nick's check, then looked at the latest text from Delaney. Can't wait to see the cake tomorrow. You've always made everything in my life more special. Don't worry, I said, ripping the check in half. I won't. I turned back to my staff, clapping my hands. All right, everyone, let's make this wedding one they'll never forget. The cake rose before me, layer by layer, beautiful and deadly, just like the revenge it would serve. The wedding venue sparkled with fairy lights and pink roses, a perfect Pinterest dream come true. I adjusted the final tier of the cake, my hands steady despite the gravity of what I was about to do. Mommy, look at my dress. Lexi twirled beside me, flower petals falling from her basket. Aunt Delaney said I looked just like a princess. You do, baby. I kissed her forehead, breathing in her sweet scent. Why don't you go find Grandpa Nick? It's almost time. As she skipped away, Delaney appeared in a flutter of white lace. Hope! The appetizers are amazing. Everyone's raving about them. Just wait for dessert, I said, smoothing my bridesmaid dress. It'll be unforgettable. You've been so wonderful about everything. She hugged me, her baby bump now slightly visible. I know this hasn't been easy. The wedding coordinator interrupted us. 5 minutes, everyone. Places, please. I watched the ceremony from my spot in the line of bridesmaids, clutching my bouquet so tight the stems cracked. Riley beamed as Delaney walked down the aisle, the same look he'd given me 12 years ago. The reception began, and I moved through my catering duties like an automaton, serving plates, directing staff, checking temperatures. All while the cake waited, its hidden screens ready to expose every lie. Need help with anything? Camilla appeared at my elbow. The cake presentation is in 20 minutes. Everything's set. I glanced at my phone where the video file waited. Did you upload the new introduction? All ready to go. She squeezed my arm. No second thoughts? Before I could answer, Riley approached. Hope, can we talk? Camilla melted away as he led me to a quiet corner. I wanted to thank you, he said, for making this easier on Lexi, on everyone. Is that what you think I'm doing? I know we hurt you. He had the decency to look ashamed. But seeing you here, being so professional, maybe we can all move forward. Be a real family again. A family? I laughed softly. Is that what you'll tell Lexi when the new baby arrives? He paled. How did you... Time for the cake cutting, the coordinator's voice rang out. I turned away from Riley's shocked face. Better get up there, your bride's waiting. The cake stood magnificent in the center of the room, white fondant gleaming under spotlights. Delaney and Riley posed beside it, knife poised for that first symbolic cut. Ladies and gentlemen, the DJ announced, please gather round for the cake-cutting ceremony. Phones came out, cameras flashed. I stood at the back, remote control hidden in my palm. Wait, Delaney called out. I want to say something first. My finger hovered over the button as she turned to address the crowd. I want to thank my amazing sister, she said, eyes finding mine. Hope, you've always been there for me, even when I didn't deserve it. This cake, this whole day, it's perfect because of you, because you chose love over anger. I'll never forget that. Murmurs of appreciation rippled through the guests. I saw Nick watching me intently from across the room, Lexi perched on his shoulders. "Mommy," she called out, waving. "Can I help cut the cake?" Delaney beamed. "Of course you can, sweetie. Come help Daddy and me." I watched my daughter run forward, her little face glowing with excitement as Riley lifted her up. The three of them stood together, looking like a perfect family. My finger trembled on the remote. "Ready?" Riley asked, helping Lexi grip the knife handle. 1, 2... The blade touched the fondant. One push of the button and their world would explode. The screens would light up. The speakers would blast their betrayal to everyone they knew. Their perfect day would become their perfect nightmare. 3. The knife sliced down. I didn't press the button. The cake cut cleanly, revealing layers of rich chocolate and cream. No screens, no speakers, no revenge. Just the cake my mother used to make, prepared exactly the way she taught me. Gasps of delight filled the room as guests saw the intricate layers. "It's beautiful," someone called out. "Hope?" Camilla appeared beside me. "What are you doing? Press it." I handed her the remote. "No, but they deserve it. After everything." "Look at Lexi," I said quietly. My daughter was laughing as Riley helped her cut another slice, Delaney wiping frosting from her nose. She was happy, innocent, untouched by the poison of revenge. "I won't be the one to destroy that," I said. "I won't let their choices turn me into someone my daughter wouldn't recognize." I walked away from Camilla's protests, past the cake that could have been a weapon, and straight to the venue's office. There, I pulled out my phone and dialed my lawyer's number. "It's Hope," I said when she answered. "I'm ready to file those papers we discussed. And I want full custody. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's choosing who you want to be when the dust settles." 3 days after the wedding, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. Not with congratulations, but with cancellations. "I'm so sorry, Hope," Christine, my biggest client, said, "but we've decided to go in a different direction for our corporate events." I gripped my desk. "Different direction?" "Your sister made quite an impression at the wedding. Her prices are more competitive." One by one they called, each conversation a fresh knife in my back. By afternoon, I'd lost 6 major contracts. The bakery door chimed. Camilla stormed in, waving her phone. "Have you seen this?" She thrust her screen at me. There was Delaney's smiling face on Instagram, standing in a professional kitchen, my professional kitchen. The caption read, "Exciting news, taking over Hope's catering, rebranding as Delaney's Divine Events, same great service, better prices." "She's using my photos," I said numbly. "Those are my designs." "Because you let her win!" Camilla slapped her hand on the counter. "We had them, the video, the proof of everything. Now look what's happening." "I did it for Lexi." "And what about Lexi's future? The college fund Riley stole? The business you built from nothing?" The bell chimed again. Riley walked in, looking uncomfortable in his expensive suit. "Get out," I said. "Hope, please. We need to talk about the business transition." "Transition?" I laughed harshly. "You mean hostile takeover?" "It's not like that." He pulled out some papers. "Delaney has investors lined up. They'll buy you out, give you a fair price." "Fair?" Camilla stepped forward. "Like stealing your wife's clients is fair?" "This isn't your concern," Riley snapped at her. "Actually," she smiled tightly. "It is. Show him Hope." I stared at her. "Show him what?" She pulled out her phone, tapped a few times, and suddenly the air filled with familiar voices. Riley and Delaney in my kitchen, planning to take my money. "Where did you get that?" I whispered. "From your security camera." She turned to Riley. "Bet those investors would love to hear how you planned this whole thing. How you stole from your own daughter's college fund." Riley's face went white. "You're bluffing." "Try me." She played another clip, them discussing the pregnancy, the takeover, everything. "You said you deleted it," I said. "I saved a copy, for insurance." She smiled at Riley. "Now, about that buyout." "This is blackmail," he sputtered. "This is business." Camilla's voice was steel. "Walk away. Leave Hope's clients alone, or this goes public." He stormed out, slamming the door so hard the bell fell. "I can't believe you kept the video," I said. "Someone had to protect you." She touched my arm. "You're too nice, Hope. Always have been." I should be angry you went behind my back. But you're not, she grinned, because I just saved your business. My phone buzzed. Christine again. Hope? Just heard some interesting things about Delaney's new venture. Think we should stick with you after all. More calls followed. Clients returning, contracts reinstated. By closing time, my business was intact. Celebrate with me, Camilla said, pulling out a wine bottle. To victory. But something felt off. How did you know about the investors? What? You mentioned Delaney's investors before Riley did. She poured the wine, not meeting my eyes. Lucky guess. And the video. I stepped back. You didn't just save it. You edited it, added things. I did what needed doing. She set down her glass. Someone had to. The client list you borrowed, the contracts you wanted to research, you were planning this all along. Planning what? To save your business? To steal it. The realization hit hard. You were going to use that video to force a buyout yourself. Don't be ridiculous. Show me your phone. Hope, show me. She handed it over. In her emails, I found everything. Messages to investors, plans for rebranding, my client list, with detailed notes on how to undercut my prices. I was trying to help, she said quietly. Get out. Hope, please, get out. After she left, I sat in my empty bakery, surrounded by the ruins of 2 betrayals. My phone buzzed again. Delaney. I heard what happened, she said when I answered. With Camilla, I'm so sorry. Are you? I laughed bitterly. Sorry enough to stop stealing my clients? A long pause. I never wanted to hurt you. Funny how everyone keeps saying that. I hung up, staring at the wedding photos flooding social media. Everyone smiling, celebrating love and new beginnings. While behind the scenes, my world was falling apart all over again. My phone buzzed one more time. A text from Nick. Come over tomorrow. Bring Lexi. We need to talk. I looked around my bakery, the dream I'd built, nearly lost, and somehow kept. Maybe it was time to build something new. Nick's house smelled like fresh coffee and cinnamon rolls when we arrived. Lexi ran straight to his workshop where he always kept a project ready for her. She's getting good with that junior tool set, he said, watching her through the window. Natural builder, like her grandfather. Why did you ask us here, Nick? He gestured to the kitchen table, where a familiar face sat waiting. Christine? I stopped short. What are you doing here? My former client, now current again after yesterday's chaos, stood up. Nick called me. We've been talking about your situation. My situation? Sit down, Hope. Nick pulled out a chair. We have a proposition for you. Christine opened her laptop. I'm expanding my event planning business, opening new venues across 3 states. I need a reliable catering partner. And I'm retiring, Nick added, selling my properties. I looked between them. I don't understand. My restaurant spaces, Nick explained. 4 prime locations, perfect for a catering company looking to expand. Christine nodded. With my venues and Nick's properties, we could build something amazing, a full-service empire. But the cost, I started, is covered. Nick pulled out a folder. Remember that check you tore up? This is better. I'm offering vendor financing, reasonable terms. And I'm prepared to invest, Christine added. Become a silent partner. Your name, your brand, just bigger. My hands shook as I looked through the proposal. This is a chance to turn this mess into something good, Nick said softly. The kitchen door burst open. Mommy! Lexi ran in, holding a wooden birdhouse. Look what Grandpa helped me make. It's beautiful, sweetie. Can we hang it at home for the birds? Home. The word hit hard. We'd been staying in a hotel since the wedding, avoiding the house full of memories. About that, Nick said. The apartment above my downtown restaurant. It's included in the deal. 2-bedroom, private entrance. I can't accept all this. Yes, you can. Christine leaned forward. Because you're the best at what you do, and because I've seen your recipes folder. I stared at her. What? Camilla tried to sell them to me yesterday. Said they were hers now. My stomach dropped. She what? I knew they weren't hers. Christine smiled. Nobody makes a chocolate ganache cake like yours. So I called Nick. Camila came to see me too, Nick said. Tried to convince me to sell her the properties instead. That's when I knew we had to move fast. A knock at the door interrupted us. Nick opened it to reveal Delaney, pale and nervous. Sorry to interrupt, she said, but I need to tell Hope something. Not now, I started. Please, she stepped in. It's about Camilla. I noticed she wasn't wearing her engagement ring. What about her? She came to see me this morning, offered to be my business partner instead, showed me contracts, client lists, said she had dirt on everyone in town. Including you? I asked quietly. Delaney nodded. She played us all against each other, and She touched her stomach. I can't do this anymore. The business, the lies. I'm moving back home, to Mom's house. What about Riley? He's staying here with his pregnant girlfriend. The room went silent. Even Lexi looked up from her birdhouse. Girlfriend? I whispered. Camilla. Delaney's voice broke. They've been together for months, before us. The pieces clicked into place. Camilla's constant pushing for revenge, her convenient discovery of the security footage, her eagerness to help destroy my sister's wedding. She played us all, I said. Like fiddles, Christine agreed, but now we play back. She turned her laptop to show me something else, a business plan, not just for catering, but for a complete hospitality group. Venues, restaurants, catering, events. Hope's Hospitality Group, I read. With a special program, Nick added, for single parents trying to start over. Training, jobs, support. Like Mom did for us, Delaney said softly. I looked at my daughter, still proudly holding her birdhouse. At Nick, offering a future instead of revenge. At Christine, seeing value in what I'd built. Even at Delaney, choosing truth over lies. Okay, I said, but I have conditions. Name them, Christine replied. First, we document everything Camilla's done, protect ourselves legally. Already on it, Nick said. Second, the single-parent program is priority 1, not just jobs, real careers. Christine nodded. We'll make it happen. And third, I turned to Delaney. You want to start over? Prove it. Work from the bottom. Learn the business right. She straightened. I will, I promise. Mommy? Lexi tugged my sleeve. Can we paint the birdhouse in our new home? I pulled her close, breathing in the scent of sawdust and hope. Yes, baby, we can paint it any color you want. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's building something so much bigger than what was taken from you. The autumn breeze carried the scent of fresh paint and coffee through the open windows of Hope's Hospitality Group's new downtown location. I stood in the teaching kitchen, watching our first class of single-parent trainees practice their piping techniques. Beautiful work, Maria, I said, examining a perfectly frosted cupcake. You're ready for the advanced class. The young mother beamed. Really? I never thought I'd... The door burst open. Christine rushed in, tablet in hand. Hope, turn on the news. Now. I grabbed the remote, flicking on the kitchen's wall-mounted TV. There was Camilla being led out of her office in handcuffs. Local businesswoman arrested for fraud and extortion, the reporter announced. Sources say she attempted to blackmail multiple prominent businesses. My phone buzzed. Delaney calling from the downtown cafe she now managed. Are you seeing this? I'm seeing it. I watched Riley appear in the background of the news footage, also in handcuffs. Both of them. Karma's quite the baker, Christine said, smiling. Serves up exactly what you deserve. I turned back to my class. Everyone take 5, get some coffee. After they filed out, Nick walked in, carrying a familiar-looking folder. The last of Camilla's stolen contracts, recovered from her office, plus something else you should see. He handed me a stack of photos. Surveillance shots of me, Delaney, our businesses, dating back months before the wedding. She was planning this for a long time, he said, planning to take everything. I shook my head, while pretending to be my best friend. Mom! Lexi ran in from the adjoining daycare center we'd built for our employees' children. Look what I made! She held up a drawing of our building, complete with the rooftop garden where we grew herbs and vegetables. The sign in her picture read, Hope's Family. That's exactly right, I said, hugging her. We are a family. The door chimed as Delaney entered, carrying a familiar-looking cake box. Found this recipe while cleaning out the cafe storage. Mom's original chocolate ganache. The one she used to make for new beginnings, I said softly. Think these count as new beginnings? She gestured around at the bustling kitchen, the training program, the life we'd rebuilt from ashes. Let's find out. I opened the box, breathing in the familiar scent. Get the plates. As we shared Mom's cake with our students, staff, and each other, I realized something. The revenge I'd planned at the wedding would have destroyed more than just Delaney and Riley. It would have destroyed me. Hope? Christine called from the door. The reporter's here for your interview about the training program. I wiped my hands on my apron. Ready? Wait! Delaney touched my arm. I know I don't deserve to ask anything of you, but could you visit me at Mom's house sometime? See what I'm doing with the place? I looked at my sister. Really looked at her. The designer clothes were gone, replaced by a simple work uniform. The entitled attitude replaced by genuine humility. Bring cake, I said finally. We'll talk. The reporter was setting up in our rooftop garden when my phone buzzed with a text from Riley's lawyer. Client wishes to surrender full custody. Agree to terms. Everything okay? Nick asked, seeing my expression. I showed him the text. Better than okay. You know, he said, revenge is like baking. Too much heat and everything burns. But the right amount of patience creates something worth sharing, I finished. The reporter gestured me over, pointing to the garden and training kitchen below. Tell me, what inspired all this? I thought about Camilla's betrayal, Riley's theft, Delaney's affair, about the revenge I'd planned and the redemption I'd found instead. Life rarely gives us what we expect, I said. Sometimes it gives us something better. Like my mother teaching me to bake, I'm teaching others to build new lives. Because the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's living well, Nick added, squeezing my shoulder. Below us, Lexi was showing Maria's daughter how to water the herbs. Delaney was teaching a new employee the register. Christine was interviewing another single parent for our program. And the secret ingredient? The reporter asked. I smiled, thinking of the cake that could have ruined a wedding, but instead inspired something greater. Second chances, served with a side of grace. The evening sun painted our building gold as families gathered for graduation dinner, our first class of trainees completing their certification. The tables were laden with their creations, each dish representing a new beginning. To new beginnings, Christine raised her glass. To family, Nick added. To hope, Delaney said softly. I looked around at the family we'd built, not perfect, but real, stronger than betrayal, bigger than revenge. To all of it, I said, cutting into Mom's chocolate cake. Every messy, beautiful bite.
I stared at the receipt in my hand, trying to process the 4-figure sum I'd just transferred from my savings account. Another investment in my husband's dreams, while mine collected dust in a folder labeled Someday. My name is Ruby, and I've spent the last 3 years watching my career aspirations dissolve into someone else's success story. The irony? I used to be the one everyone bet on. You're sure about this? The bank teller's concerned look matched her tone. I'd seen her enough times that we were on first-name basis. Absolutely, Marie. It's an investment in our future. I forced a smile, one I'd perfected over countless investor meetings, where I played the supportive wife role. My phone buzzed. Ethan's face lit up my screen. Hey, just transferred the money. You should see it in the account soon. You're amazing, babe. This is exactly what we needed for the new dev team. Moises is already interviewing candidates. His excitement was contagious, even through the phone. Dinner tonight? I'm thinking that Italian place you love. Can't tonight. Meeting Rosalind for drinks. She's having a rough time with the divorce. Right. Tomorrow then? I promise I'll make it up to you. I hung up and checked my watch. Just enough time to make it to the office where I worked as a marketing director, a job I'd taken because it offered flexibility to help with Ethan's startup. 3 years ago, I'd been on track to become CMO at one of the city's top firms. While our story unfolds, we're curious. Where are you all watching from today? From beaches to mountains, we'd love to know. Let's continue. Ruby! Nadia, my mentor from my previous company, waved from across the lobby. I was just thinking about you. Nadia? What brings you here? She pulled me into a hug. Client meeting. But listen, there's an executive position opening up at Vertex. Your name came up in the board meeting. My heart skipped. Vertex was everything I dreamed of. I can't. Ethan's company is at a crucial stage. Nadia's face fell. You're still putting everything into his startup? Ux, it's our startup, I corrected automatically, though the words felt hollow. Honey, when was the last time you were even involved in a business decision there? Before I could answer, my phone chimed with a text from Heidi, my younger sister. Lunch tomorrow? Need your advice on something. Sorry, Nadia, I should head up, but let's catch up soon. Don't be a stranger, she squeezed my arm. And Ruby, don't forget who you are. The rest of the afternoon dragged until my meeting with Rosalind at our usual bar. She was already nursing a martini when I arrived. You look like hell, she said, pushing a glass toward me. Thanks. You really know how to make a girl feel special. Seriously, what's wrong? And don't say nothing. I've known you too long for that. I sighed, swirling my drink. Ever feel like you're living someone else's life? Not all the time during my marriage. She leaned forward. Is this about Ethan's company? I just transferred another chunk of my savings. That's 6 figures now, Roz. 6. And I barely know what's happening there anymore. Have you talked to him about it? He's so focused right now. The company's growing. They're hiring. I don't want to be that wife who holds him back. But it's okay for him to hold you back? Before I could respond, movement at the bar caught my eye. A familiar figure was leaving through the side door. Ethan. But he wasn't alone. A woman was with him, her hand on his arm, laughing at something he'd said. Ruby, what is it? Nothing, I said quickly. Thought I saw someone I knew. But my hands were shaking as I reached for my phone. Ethan's earlier text glowed on the screen. Stuck at the office tonight, big project deadline. You okay? Rosalind's voice seemed far away. Yeah, I lied, my mind racing. Just remembered something I need to check on at work. I grabbed my purse, making excuses to leave. Outside, I stood in the cool evening air, trying to make sense of what I'd seen. It was probably nothing. A colleague? A potential investor. But as I flagged down a taxi, I couldn't shake the image of that woman's familiar laugh, the way she'd touched Ethan's arm. Something in my gut told me this wasn't the first time he'd lied about working late. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Heidi. Really need to talk. Important. I closed my eyes, letting my head rest against the taxi's window. Tomorrow, I decided. Tomorrow I'd start asking questions. But deep down, I already knew I wouldn't like the answers. The cafe where Heidi and I always met was unusually quiet. My sister sat across from me, shredding a napkin into tiny pieces, avoiding my eyes. Something was off. She'd barely touched her usual caramel latte. So, what's this important thing we need to discuss? I asked, trying to keep my voice light despite the knot in my stomach. She flinched. I don't know how to say this. Since when do you struggle to tell me anything? I forced a laugh. You've been oversharing since you learned to talk. Tears welled in her eyes. Ruby, I've done something terrible. The knot in my stomach tightened. What is it? It's about Ethan. Her voice cracked. My coffee cup froze halfway to my lips. What about Ethan? She took a shaky breath. We've been seeing each other. The words hit me like a physical blow. The cafe's ambient noise faded to a dull roar as memories flashed through my mind. Ethan's late nights, Heidi's sudden interest in tech startups, their awkward behavior at family dinners. How long? The words came out barely above a whisper. 6 months. She reached for my hand. I yanked it away. 6 months! My voice rose sharply. Several heads turned our way. My husband and my sister, for 6 months. Ruby, please. Please what? I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor. Please forgive you for sleeping with my husband while I poured my life savings into his company. It wasn't supposed to happen. Tears streamed down her face. We never meant to get caught? I grabbed my purse. Don't follow me. Outside, the spring air felt suffocating. My phone was already ringing. Heidi. I declined the call and dialed Ethan's number instead. He answered on the third ring. Hey babe, I'm in a meeting. Come home, now. I hung up before he could respond. The drive home was a blur. I paced our living room, touching things that suddenly felt foreign. Wedding photos, shared memories, lies. When Ethan finally walked in, his face told me he already knew. She told you. It wasn't a question. 6 months, Ethan? While I supported your dreams, funded your company, put my life on hold? He stepped toward me. Ruby, I can explain. Explain what? How you fucked my sister. How you looked me in the eye every day and lied. It was a mistake. I'll end it, I swear. We can work through this. I laughed. A harsh sound that surprised even me. Work through this? Do you have any idea how much money I've invested in your company? Our company, he corrected automatically. My money, I snapped. Or did you forget where your seed funding came from? His face changed. What are you saying? I'm saying get out, now. Ruby, please, I love you. Get out! I grabbed the nearest object, a crystal vase, our wedding gift, and hurled it at the wall beside him. It shattered spectacularly. He backed toward the door, hands raised. I'll give you space. We'll talk when you're calmer. The door clicked shut behind him. I stood in the silence, surrounded by broken glass and broken promises, when my phone rang again. Nadia. I just heard, she said when I answered. Rosalind called me. I can't think straight. My voice shook. Listen to me carefully, Ruby. Don't do anything rash. Not yet. What do you mean? You're a majority stakeholder in his company, right? Through your investments? Yes, but then you have power, real power. Don't waste it on a dramatic divorce announcement or public scandal. I sank onto the couch. What are you suggesting? Come to my office tomorrow. We'll talk strategy. There are better ways to handle this than throwing vases. You heard that? Honey, I think the whole neighborhood heard that. Her voice softened. Get some rest. Tomorrow we plan. After hanging up, I walked to our home office. Opening the safe, I pulled out every document related to Ethan's company. Every investment, every transfer, every agreement I'd signed. 6 figures of my money, built from years of bonuses and savings, all poured into his dream. My phone buzzed with texts. Heidi. Please let me explain. Ethan. I'll sleep at a hotel. Call me when you're ready to talk. Rosalind. My couch is ready if you need it. I ignored them all, spreading the documents across the desk. Nadia was right. I had power. Real power. And for the first time since hearing Heidi's confession, I felt something other than pain. I felt purpose. Nadia's corner office overlooked the city skyline, but I barely noticed the view. My attention was fixed on the spreadsheets spread across her desk, each one detailing my investments in Ethan's company. You own 43%, Nadia said, tapping her pen against the papers. That's not just money you've invested, it's documented voting rights. And Ethan? 30%. His partner Moises holds 15%, and the rest is split among minor investors. She leaned back. You're the majority stakeholder, Ruby. Which means what, exactly? It means, she smiled, you have options. Legal, calculated options. My phone buzzed. Another message from Ethan. I switched it off. First step, Nadia continued. We need someone on the inside. Someone with access to current financials and board meetings. Moises, I said immediately. He's always been more practical than Ethan, less emotional. Perfect. Set up a meeting. Be honest about the situation. but strategic. 2 days later, I sat across from Moises in a quiet restaurant far from the office. His expression remained neutral as I explained everything. "I had no idea," he said finally, "about any of it. Neither did I." I took a sip of water. "But here's the thing, Moises. I'm not looking to destroy the company. I want to save it." He raised an eyebrow. "From Ethan?" "From his impulsive decisions. You've seen them yourself. The rushed hiring, the over-ambitious projections. The new office lease we can't afford," he added quietly. "Exactly." I leaned forward. "Work with me. Help me take control before he runs this thing into the ground." Moises studied me for a long moment. "What's your plan?" "First, I need information. Real information, not the sugar-coated updates I've been getting." He nodded slowly. "I can do that, but Ethan can't know." "Of course not." I pulled out my card. "Use this number only. No company email." Back at my temporary office, a small co-working space I'd rented, I began receiving Moises's updates. The picture wasn't pretty. Ethan had been making promises to investors that the company couldn't keep, and Heidi's recent promotion to project manager was raising eyebrows. "Your sister's not qualified for the position," Rosalind said bluntly over lunch. "Everyone knows it." "Everyone except Ethan, apparently." I stabbed at my salad. "Or maybe he knows and doesn't care. So what's next in this master plan of yours?" Before I could answer, my phone lit up with an unknown number. A text from Moises. "Emergency board meeting called for tomorrow. E wants to discuss new funding round." "Perfect timing," I muttered. "What is?" I showed her the text. "Ethan's about to discover that his wife isn't as passive as he thought." The next morning, I walked into the board meeting wearing my sharpest suit. Ethan's face went pale when he saw me. "Ruby, what are you doing here?" I smiled, taking a seat. "I'm the majority stakeholder, remember? I have every right to be here." Heidi, sitting next to him, looked like she wanted to disappear. "Good. Now," I addressed the room, "I understand we're discussing a new funding round?" Ethan cleared his throat. "Yes, we need additional capital for expansion." "Interesting." I opened my laptop. "Because according to these projections, what we actually need is better management of existing resources." The room went quiet. Moises shifted in his seat, hiding a smile. "I've prepared an alternative proposal." I started my presentation. "Our current burn rate is unsustainable. We're hemorrhaging money on unnecessary expenses while core development is underfunded." For the next 30 minutes, I laid out every financial misstep, every questionable decision, every inflated projection. With each slide, Ethan's face grew redder. "This is ridiculous," he finally exploded. "You can't just walk in here." "Actually, I can. And I am." I turned to the other board members. "As majority stakeholder, I move to temporarily suspend all major financial decisions pending a complete audit." "I second the motion," Moises said immediately. The vote was quick and decisive. Ethan watched helplessly as his control began slipping away. After the meeting, he caught up to me in the parking lot. "What are you doing, Ruby?" "Protecting my investment." I kept walking. "Is this about us? About Heidi? Because we can fix that." I spun around. "Fix it? You think this is about fixing our marriage? Then what is it about?" "It's about consequences, Ethan." I met his eyes. "You're about to learn that every action has them." As I drove away, my phone buzzed with a text from Nadia. "How did it go?" I smiled, thinking of Ethan's face when I took control of that meeting. "Phase 1 complete. Ready for Phase 2? Her response came quickly. "Always. Dinner tonight? We have a lot to plan." For the first time in days, I felt truly powerful. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming what was mine. And I was just getting started. "You're doing what?" Rosalind nearly choked on her wine. "Going to my parents' anniversary dinner," I repeated, adjusting my earrings in her bathroom mirror. "With Ethan." "Have you lost your mind?" "Yo, it's called strategy." I applied a final coat of lipstick. Mom's already devastated about the separation. I'm not ruining their 40th anniversary by making it public. And Heidi? Conveniently caught food poisoning. I smiled grimly. At least that's what she told them. The drive to the restaurant with Ethan was thick with tension. He kept glancing at me, probably trying to reconcile this composed version of his wife with the one who'd thrown a vase at him. "Ruby," he started. "Don't." I kept my eyes on the road. "We're doing this for my parents, that's all." The restaurant was packed with family friends. My parents beamed when we walked in, hand in hand, the perfect couple. If only they knew. "Where's Heidi?" Mom asked, hugging me. "Food poisoning," I said smoothly. "She sends her love." Throughout dinner, I played my part flawlessly, laughing at the right moments, touching Ethan's arm occasionally, sharing knowing looks. But underneath the table, my phone buzzed constantly with updates from Moises about the company audit. "Everything okay?" Ethan whispered as I checked another message. "Just work," I smiled sweetly. "You know how it is, always something urgent." His jaw tightened. He knew exactly what kind of work I was dealing with. Back at Rosalind's apartment, my temporary home, I kicked off my heels and opened my laptop. Moises's latest email confirmed what I'd suspected. Heidi's promotion had come with an unauthorized salary increase far above market rate. "Got you," I muttered, forwarding the evidence to my lawyer. My phone rang. Nadia. "How was dinner with the parents?" "Oscar-worthy performance," I sighed. "But exhausting. Good news, though. Our contact at the investment firm got back to me. They're interested in meeting." I sat up straighter. "Really? That was fast. They've been watching the company for a while. Your audit revelations just confirmed their suspicions about management issues." The next morning, I walked into the office I'd set up in the co-working space to find Heidi waiting. "How did you get in here?" "Told reception I was your sister." She looked terrible, pale, with dark circles under her eyes. "We need to talk." "I have nothing to say to you." "Ruby, please, I'm drowning here. The new project they gave me, I'm not qualified. I can't handle it." Funny how actions have consequences, isn't it? "I know you're behind the audit," she said quietly. "Behind everything." "Prove it." "I'm your sister. I know how you think." "No." I stepped closer. "You lost the right to call yourself my sister when you slept with my husband." "I'm sorry." She burst into tears. "I never meant to get caught, to face consequences, to actually have to earn your position instead of sleeping your way into it." Her face crumpled. "What do you want from me?" "I want you to do your job, the one you're so desperately unqualified for. And when you fail, and you will fail, I want you to remember that you did this to yourself." After she left, I called Nadia. "Heidi just paid me a visit." "How did that go?" "About as well as expected." I rubbed my temples. "She knows I'm behind everything. Does it matter?" "No," I said after a moment. "It actually makes it better." That afternoon, I had another board meeting. Ethan looked exhausted, his usual confidence replaced by nervous energy. The audit findings were devastating. Financial mismanagement, unauthorized bonuses, inflated projections. These decisions have put us in a precarious position. I concluded my presentation. "We need immediate changes in management structure." "You can't just—" Ethan started. "Actually, she can," Moises interrupted. "And she should." The vote was unanimous. Effective immediately, all major decisions would require board approval, meaning my approval. In the hallway afterward, Ethan grabbed my arm. "This isn't you, Ruby. This calculated revenge." I pulled away. "You have no idea who I am anymore, but you're about to find out." That night, I sat in my temporary office, staring at the city lights. My phone lit up with a text from Mom. "Heidi's really upset. Whatever's happening between you girls, please fix it." I turned the phone face down. The time for fixing things was long past. Now was the time for dismantling, piece by piece, decision by decision, until there was nothing left of the life they'd destroyed. My laptop pinged with an email from the investment firm. Meeting confirmed for tomorrow. I smiled, thinking of Ethan's face when he realized just how thoroughly I'd orchestrated his downfall. This double life, playing the civil ex-wife while systematically taking control, was exhausting, but watching them squirm made it worth every moment. The investment firm's conference room felt colder than necessary. I watched Ethan fidget with his tie as the potential investors reviewed our presentation. "These numbers are concerning," said Sarah, the lead investor, "particularly the management turnover rate." "We're implementing changes," Ethan started, but I cut him off. "Actually, we're completely restructuring our management approach." I pulled up a new slide. "I've developed a transition plan that addresses these issues." Ethan's head snapped toward me. This was the first he'd heard of it. "Interesting." Sarah leaned forward. "And who would lead this transition?" "I would." I met her gaze steadily. "As majority stakeholder, I'm positioning myself to take a more active role." The meeting ended with cautious optimism from the investors. In the elevator afterward, Ethan exploded. "What the hell was that?" "That was me saving your company from your mismanagement. By taking over?" "This isn't what you do, Ruby. You're not a tech executive." "No, I'm just the person who funded your dreams while you screwed my sister." The elevator doors opened and I walked out, leaving him sputtering behind me. Back at the office, Moises was waiting with more updates. "Heidi's project is falling apart. 3 developers quit this morning." "Already?" I raised an eyebrow. That was faster than expected. She had a breakdown in the middle of a team meeting, started crying about being in over her head. My phone buzzed. Speak of the devil. "Ruby?" Heidi's voice was shaky. "I need help." "Sounds like a personal problem." "Please." "The project. I don't understand half of what they're talking about. The team doesn't respect me. They know I'm not qualified." "Finally, something we agree on." "I'll quit. Just, please stop whatever you're doing." I laughed. "Quit?" "No, dear sister. You're going to stay right where you are and face every consequence of your actions." Later that evening, Rosalind poured me another glass of wine. "Don't you think you're being a little harsh?" "Harsh?" I set my glass down. "They destroyed my marriage, betrayed my trust, and tried to take advantage of my investment. They deserve harsh." "I know, but..." She hesitated. "You seem different lately. Colder." Before I could respond, my phone rang. Mom again. "Ruby, honey, what's going on?" "Heidi's a mess. Ethan looks terrible, and you're acting like nothing's wrong." "Everything's fine, Mom." "Don't lie to me. I'm your mother. I know when something's wrong with my girls." I closed my eyes. "Mom, please." "Not now." After hanging up, I checked my email. The investment firm had sent their terms, with one condition. I had to take over as CEO. "They want me to run it," I told Nadia over the phone. "Isn't that what you wanted?" "Is it?" I stared out the window. "I wanted revenge, but this is power," she finished. "Real power." The next morning, I arrived at the office early to find Ethan waiting in my temporary workspace. "We need to talk." He looked awful, unshaven, shirt wrinkled. "About?" "About us." "About what happened?" He ran a hand through his hair. "I made a terrible mistake, Ruby. The biggest mistake of my life." "Just one mistake? Or 6 months of mistakes?" "I love you. I never stopped loving you." "That's worse, actually." I kept my voice steady. "Because it means you knew exactly what you were doing when you betrayed me." "What can I do?" His voice cracked. "Tell me how to fix this." For a moment, just a moment, I felt my resolve waver. Then I remembered finding them together, remembered every lie, every betrayal. "You can't fix this, Ethan, but you can watch while I take everything you built and make it better than you ever could." He slumped against the wall. "This isn't you, Ruby. This revenge, it's changing you." "No," I stood up. "It's revealing me. Now get out of my office." After he left, I sat there shaking. My phone buzzed with a text from Heidi. "The team's requesting a project review. I can't do this presentation. Then fail, I typed back. Publicly. Another message popped up, this time from Moises. Board meeting in an hour. Investment firm's terms are on the agenda. I gathered my materials, pushing down the nagging voice that sounded suspiciously like Rosalind asking if I was going too far. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about proving something to myself. But as I watched my reflection in the elevator doors, I barely recognized the woman staring back at me. Her eyes were harder, her smile sharper. She looked powerful, in control. She looked exactly like what I'd wanted to become. So why did that scare me so much? The boardroom fell silent as I laid out the investment firm's terms. Ethan sat at the far end, his face ashen. Heidi, who'd insisted on attending despite not being a board member, looked like she might throw up. Let me be clear, I said, standing at the head of the table. The firm will inject $20 million, but only under new leadership. Meaning you. Ethan's voice was hollow. Meaning someone with a proven track record of financial responsibility. I met his gaze. Which rules you out? Moises cleared his throat. The terms are favorable. Better than we could hope for, given our current situation. This is insane! Heidi burst out. She's doing this to punish us. Ms. Pearson, Moises said sharply, you're not a board member. Please refrain from commenting. I continued as if she hadn't spoken. The vote is simple. Accept the investment under new leadership, or watch this company collapse under its current management. Ruby? Ethan stood up. Can we discuss this privately? Sit down. My voice could have frozen hell. We're doing this here, now, in front of everyone. The vote was quick. Even Ethan, seeing no alternative, raised his hand in favor. Within minutes, I was officially CEO of the company I'd helped build, but never led. Effective immediately, I announced, all project leads will report directly to me. That includes you, Heidi. She paled. But my presentation is in 30 minutes. I look forward to it. The project review meeting was brutal. Heidi stumbled through her presentation, unable to answer basic questions about development timelines and resource allocation. The team's frustration was palpable. So, I said when she finished, you have no clear milestone dates, no budget oversight, and no grasp of the technical requirements? I've been learning as I go. Learning? I laughed. This isn't an internship. This is a multi-million-dollar project. Ruby, please. That's CEO Pearson to you. I turned to the team. From now on, Thomas will lead this project. Heidi, you're demoted to junior coordinator. Try not to sleep your way out of that position, too. The room went dead silent. Heidi burst into tears and ran out. I continued the meeting as if nothing had happened. Afterward, Ethan cornered me in my new office. His old office. That was cruel, he said. Cruel? I turned from organizing my desk. Like sleeping with my sister while I funded your dreams? That kind of cruel? I know I hurt you. No, I cut him off. You have no idea how much you hurt me, but you're about to find out. What does that mean? I smiled, pulling out a folder. It means I'm exercising my right as CEO to review all compensation packages, starting with yours and Heidi's. His face went white. You can't. I can and I will. Now get out of my office. Unlike some people, I actually work for my position. That evening, Rosalind found me still at my desk, reviewing files. You missed our dinner, she said, setting down takeout. Had to hear about your boardroom drama from 3 different people. Sorry, been busy. Ruby, she sat down. What are you doing? Running a company. No, you're destroying yourself. I saw Heidi crying in the parking lot. Good. Is it? She leaned forward. Because the Ruby I know wouldn't. The Ruby you know died the day her husband and sister betrayed her. No, Rosalind stood up. She didn't. She's just lost right now. And I hope she finds her way back before she becomes exactly what she hates. After she left, I stared at my reflection in the darkened window. My phone buzzed. Mom again. Heidi told me everything, she said when I answered. About her and Ethan. About what you're doing now. And? And I'm worried about you, honey. This revenge, it's eating you alive. I'm fine. No, you're not. None of you are. She paused. Come to dinner tomorrow. Just you and me, please? I hesitated, then agreed. Hanging up, I noticed a photo I'd missed while clearing out Ethan's things. Us on our wedding day, both smiling, full of hope. I picked it up, ready to throw it away, when something caught my eye. The way he looked at me then, with real love, real commitment. The same way he'd looked at me yesterday, begging to fix things. For the first time since this all began, I felt something crack in my carefully constructed wall of anger. But it was too late to stop now. Tomorrow, the new contracts would be announced. Tomorrow, they'd learn the true cost of betrayal. Tomorrow, I'd finally win. So why did victory suddenly taste so bitter? Mom's kitchen smelled like childhood, fresh bread, and something simmering on the stove. She handed me a cup of tea without asking if I wanted one. Some things never changed. Talk to me, she said, sitting across from me. Really talk to me. About what? How my husband and sister betrayed me? How I'm finally taking control? About why you're punishing yourself along with them? I nearly dropped my cup. I'm not. Ruby, look at yourself. When's the last time you slept? Really slept? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Another crisis at the office. They never stopped now. See? Mom gestured at the phone. This isn't you taking control. This is you drowning yourself in revenge. You don't understand. I understand better than you think. She reached for my hand. Your father had an affair once. The world stopped. What? 25 years ago. I wanted to destroy him, destroy her, destroy everything we'd built. She squeezed my hand. But you know what I realized? What? That hatred hurts the person holding it more than anyone else. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Moises. Emergency. Ethan's threatening to go to the press. I have to go. I stood up abruptly. Work emergency. Ruby, I'll call you later. I found Ethan in the conference room with Moises and our PR team. He looked wild-eyed, desperate. You can't cut my salary by 60%, he said as soon as I walked in. I built this company. With my money, I reminded him, and your performance doesn't justify your current compensation. Then I'll tell everyone how you orchestrated this takeover, how you manipulated. Go ahead. I sat down calmly. Tell them how you mismanaged funds, gave unauthorized raises to your mistress, and nearly tanked the company before I saved it. He deflated visibly. Ruby, please, I know I hurt you. Hurt me? I laughed. You and Heidi destroyed everything I believed in, everything I trusted. And this is making it better? He gestured around. Looking over your shoulder, suspicious of everyone, working yourself to death for revenge? Mr. Sanders, Moises interrupted, I suggest you accept the new contract terms. They're more than fair given the circumstances. After Ethan left, Moises stayed behind. He's right about one thing. You're working yourself to death. I'm fine. No, you're not. And neither is Heidi. He hesitated. She had another breakdown today. Something twisted in my chest. Not my problem. Ruby, he said softly, when does it end? I didn't have an answer. That night, unable to sleep, I drove to the office. The security guard barely blinked anymore at my late hours. I found Heidi in her tiny new workspace, crying over project documents. What are you doing here? I asked. She jumped. I can't fail at this too. I can't. Looking at her, really looking at her, I saw what everyone else had been seeing. Dark circles under her eyes, unwashed hair, shaking hands. She looked like I felt. Go home, Heidi. I can't. If I fail at this job, you've already failed. The words came out softer than I intended. We both have. She looked up, confused. What? You failed as a sister. I failed at marriage. And now we're both failing at being human beings. I never meant, she started, to hurt me. But you did. You both did. I sat down heavily. And now I'm hurting everyone, including myself. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I know it doesn't fix anything, but I'm sorry. For the first time since this began, I really looked at my sister, the girl who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms, who cried when I left for college, who'd always been more fragile than she pretended to be. I don't forgive you, I said finally. I don't know if I ever can. I know. But what we're doing, it has to stop. My phone buzzed. Rosalind. Just checking if you're still alive. Miss my best friend. Heidi glanced at my phone. Everyone misses who you used to be, even me. I miss her too. The admission surprised me. I'm just not sure how to find her again. Maybe. Heidi stood up shakily. We both need to find our way back. I watched her gather her things, remembering Mom's words about hatred hurting the person holding it. Looking around the empty office, at what my victory had cost, I finally understood what she meant. Heidi, I called as she reached the door. Get some sleep, real sleep. She nodded, then paused. You too, Ruby, please. After she left, I sat in the darkness, letting the weight of everything crash over me. My phone buzzed one last time. Mom. Remember, sweetheart, healing is harder than hurting, but it's worth it. For the first time in months, I let myself cry. The morning sun streamed through my office windows as I reviewed the final separation agreement. Across the desk, Ethan sat quietly, pen in hand. You're keeping me on as CTO? He looked up from the papers. You're good at the technical side, I said. That was never the problem. And Heidi? She's resigned, taking classes in project management, learning the right way this time. He nodded slowly. I never wanted any of this. Neither did I. I pushed the papers toward him. Sign. As he scribbled his signature, Moises knocked and entered. The investment team is here. The meeting went smoothly. Our new structure was solid. Me as CEO, Ethan as CTO with clear boundaries, and a fresh management team vetted by the board. No more shortcuts, no more nepotism. Impressive turnaround, Sarah, the lead investor, said afterward, though not quite what we expected when we first met. Life rarely is, I replied. Later, I found Rosalind waiting in my office with lunch. Heard you're making changes. Had to. I took a bite of sandwich. Turns out revenge is exhausting. Finally figured that out, huh? She smiled. So what now? Now? I pulled out a folder. Remember that CMO position I turned down 3 years ago? They're still interested? Different company, better offer. I handed her the letter. They want someone who can transform struggling businesses. And the startup? I'll remain on the board, but step down as CEO once we've stabilized. Moises will take over. He's ready. My phone buzzed. Heidi. Passed my first certification exam. Good job, I texted back. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was something. You're different, Rosalind observed. Lighter somehow. Mom said something that stuck with me, about hatred hurting the person holding it. Smart woman, your mom. Speaking of, I checked the time. I should go. Family dinner tonight. The whole family. No, just Mom and me. Baby steps. That evening, Mom's kitchen felt different. No tension, no unspoken accusations. Just the familiar smell of home and the sound of her humming while she cooked. Heard about the changes at work, she said, stirring sauce. Proud of you. For giving up revenge? For choosing growth instead? She turned to face me. It's harder, isn't it? Much harder. I helped her plate the food. But better. And Heidi? We text sometimes, about her classes mostly. I sat down. I'm not ready for more. But you're ready for something, she smiled. That's progress. After dinner, I drove to the beach, my thinking spot since childhood. The waves crashed steadily as I pulled out my phone and opened my email drafts. Dear Heidi, I typed. Coffee next week? Just us. Before I could overthink it, I hit send. My phone rang almost immediately. Nadia. Heard you're leaving the startup, she said. News travels fast. You okay? I watched the waves, thinking about everything that had happened. The betrayal, the revenge, the cost of both. Actually, yeah, I said. For the first time in months, I really am. Good, she paused. Because that CMO position? It's at my new company. I laughed. You planned this? Let's say I saw potential in your transformation, both personal and professional. Walking along the beach, I felt lighter with each step. My phone buzzed again, Heidi accepting the coffee invitation, then Ethan confirming the final paperwork was filed, then Rosalind suggesting celebratory drinks. I sat in the sand, watching the sunset, and opened my journal. The one Mom gave me when this all started. On the first page, I'd written a list of everything I wanted: revenge, control, victory. Now I wrote a new list: peace, growth, purpose, healing. The last rays of sun glinted off my wedding ring, still on my finger. I twisted it off, feeling its weight one last time, then stood and walked to the water's edge. The ring made a small splash as it hit the waves. Not everything needed to be held on to. Not everything needed to be fixed. Sometimes letting go was its own kind of victory. My phone lit up with a final text from Mom. Remember what I always say? I smiled, typing back the phrase she'd repeated throughout my childhood. The strongest people know when to put down their weapons and pick up their wisdom. Standing there, between the setting sun and the rising moon, I finally understood what she meant. The real victory wasn't in destroying what hurt you, but in building something better from the ruins. I turned away from the ocean and headed home, leaving behind the weight of revenge and carrying instead the lighter burden of hope.
The email glowed on my screen like a ghost from the past, each word striking me with the force of a hammer. Ms. Morgan, your expertise is urgently needed to save Townsend Industries. My name is Viviana, and 16 years ago, I stood in my parents' pristine living room, trembling as I told them I was pregnant. I was 18, terrified, and desperate for their support. Instead, I got a cold stare from my mother and 5 words that changed everything. Get out of this house. Viv, your 2 p.m. is here. Felicity's voice crackled through the intercom, yanking me back to the present. I minimized the email and straightened my blazer, pushing away memories I'd rather forget. Send them in, I replied, my voice steady despite the tremors in my chest. The door opened, and Aaron Smith walked in, his familiar face a reminder of everything I'd left behind. It's been a while, Viviana. 16 years, give or take a few months. I gestured to the chair across from my desk. I assume you're here about the email? He nodded, settling into the leather seat. They don't know it's you. They think they're reaching out to Elysia Morgan, the CEO of Phoenix Enterprises. I couldn't help but laugh. The irony isn't lost on me, Aaron. The parents who threw me out now need my help to save their precious company. They're desperate, Viv. The company's bleeding money, and your father's health isn't what it used to be. I stood up, walking to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Do you remember the night I left? It was raining, just like today. I remember. I tried to reason with them. Fat lot of good that did. I turned back to face him. Felicity was the only one who helped me. She gave me a couch to sleep on, helped me find work. While I was 7 months pregnant, working 2 jobs and taking online classes, where were they? Aaron leaned forward. They made mistakes, horrible ones, but this could be your chance to what? Get revenge? Show them how well I did without them? I interrupted, my voice sharper than intended. The intercom buzzed again. Mom? Sophia's voice filled the room. I finished that market analysis you wanted. Can I come in? My heart softened instantly. Come in, sweetheart. As the story develops, if you're enjoying it, consider subscribing for a new one each day, where justice always finds its way. Back to our unfolding situation. The door opened, and my daughter walked in, her tablet in hand. At 16, she was everything I could have hoped for. Brilliant, kind, and stronger than I ever was. She stopped short when she saw Aaron. "Uncle Aaron?" Her face lit up. She hadn't seen him since she was 12, when he'd secretly helped us with some legal work. "Look at you, all grown up," Aaron smiled, standing to hug her. "You look just like your mum at your age. Except smarter," I added, watching them with a mix of pride and pain. This was what family should look like. Unconditional love, not judgment and rejection. Sophia's eyes darted between us. "What's going on?" I hesitated, but she deserved the truth. "Your grandparents' company is in trouble. They've reached out to Phoenix Enterprises for help. But they don't know it's you." Her quick mind connected the dots instantly. "No, they think they're dealing with Elysia Morgan." Sophia sat on the edge of my desk, her expression thoughtful. "Are you going to help them?" The question hung in the air, heavy with 16 years of hurt, anger, and unspoken words. I looked at the email again, then at the photos on my desk, Sophia's first day of school, her science fair victory, her recent debate team win. All moments my parents had missed because of their pride. "Your mother has built something remarkable here," Aaron said quietly. "Phoenix Enterprises is exactly what Townsend Industries needs. The question is whether the past should determine the future." I reached for my phone, pulling up the contact I'd never deleted but never used. My finger hovered over my brother Reed's number. "Mom," Sophia said softly, "sometimes the best revenge is showing people exactly what they threw away." I looked at my daughter, seeing in her face all the wisdom I'd fought so hard to instill. She was right, of course. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about proving something, not to them, but to myself. "Aaron," I said, my decision made, "set up the meeting, but let's keep playing this game a little longer. I want to see their faces when they realize exactly who Elysia Morgan is." He nodded, understanding the weight of what I was proposing. "I'll arrange everything." As he left, Sophia hugged me tight. "I'm proud of you, Mum." I held her close, remembering the scared teenager I'd once been, now replaced by the woman I'd become. "I love you, sweetheart. You're the best decision I ever made." The rain continued to fall outside my office window, but this time I wasn't the one getting wet. This time, I was the one with the power to either shelter or storm. The boardroom of Townsend Industries felt smaller than I remembered, maybe because the last time I'd been here, I was looking up at these mahogany walls from a child's height. Now, dressed in a crisp black suit as Elysia Morgan, I commanded the space. "Ms. Morgan, thank you for coming." My father's voice was thinner than I remembered, his once commanding presence diminished by age and worry. He didn't recognize me behind my sleek bob cut and designer glasses. Amazing what 16 years and success can do to change a person. "The pleasure is mine, Mr. Townsend." I kept my voice deliberately lower, smoother than my natural tone. "Your company's situation intrigues me." My mother sat beside him, her spine rigid as ever, but new lines creased her face. Reed, my brother, stood by the window, pretending to study the cityscape while stealing glances at me. "We've reviewed your proposal," my father continued, sliding a folder across the table. "Your reputation precedes you. Phoenix Enterprises has an impressive track record of turning companies around." I opened the folder, though I'd memorized every detail of their failing business. "Your numbers are concerning. The market shifted 5 years ago, but your strategies remained stagnant." "We maintain traditional values," my mother interjected, her voice sharp. "Our customers appreciate consistency." I couldn't help but smile. "Your dropping sales suggest otherwise. Your competitors are embracing digital transformation while you're still operating like it's 1995. Reed finally turned from the window. "She's right, Mom. I've been saying this for years." "And I suppose you think you can save us?" My mother's tone dripped with the same condescension I remembered from my teenage years. "Actually," I removed my glasses, letting them see me clearly for the first time. "I know I can, because I've done it before, starting with nothing but determination and a newborn daughter." The silence that followed was deafening. My father's face drained of color. My mother's hand flew to her throat. Reed's sharp intake of breath was the only sound in the room. "Viviana," my father whispered. "Surprise." I leaned back in my chair, savoring the moment. Alicia Morgan is my professional alias. Phoenix Enterprises is my company. And yes, I built it from scratch while raising the grandchild you never wanted to meet. My mother stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. "This is absurd. Aaron, did you know about this?" Aaron, who'd been quietly observing from the corner, stepped forward. "I did, and I encouraged it. You need her help, Violet. Your pride has cost you enough already." "How dare you," my mother began, but Reed cut her off. "Stop it, Mum." His voice was stronger than I'd ever heard it. "Look at what Viviana's accomplished. While you were pretending she didn't exist, she was building an empire. Maybe it's time we admitted we were wrong." I pulled out my tablet, projecting their company's financials onto the wall. "You're 3 months from bankruptcy. Your choice is simple. Accept my help and my terms, or watch everything you've built crumble." "Your terms?" my father asked, finding his voice. "Complete restructuring, digital transformation, and—" I paused, meeting each of their eyes. "You'll work with my daughter. She's designed an innovative marketing strategy that could save this company." "A teenager?" my mother scoffed. "A teenager who's already completed her business degree online and runs our youth market division," I corrected. "She's everything you feared I couldn't become when you threw me out." Reed moved to sit beside me, a gesture that didn't go unnoticed. "I've reviewed her proposals, Mum. They're brilliant. We'd be idiots not to accept." My father reached for my mother's hand, squeezing it gently. "We don't have a choice, Violet." I stood, gathering my things. "You have 24 hours to decide. Oh, and one more thing." I pulled out a photo of Sophia and placed it on the table. "This is your granddaughter, the one you've never met. She's willing to help save your company, despite knowing exactly how you treated her mother. Think about that while you make your decision." As I turned to leave, Reed caught up with me at the door. "Viv, wait, can we talk?" "Tomorrow, Reed, after they decide." I paused, looking back at our parents. 16 years ago, you made me feel worthless. Now I'm worth more than your entire company. Funny how life works out, isn't it? The walk to my car was triumphant, but my hands shook as I gripped the steering wheel. I pulled out my phone and dialed Felicity. "How'd it go?" she asked immediately. "Exactly as planned. You should have seen their faces." "Are you okay?" I started the engine, watching through the windshield as Reed argued with our parents in the boardroom window above. "I don't know. But for the first time since that night, I feel like I'm in control." "Come over for dinner," Felicity insisted. "Sophia's already here, helping me cook. We'll celebrate phase 1 of Operation Karma." I laughed, feeling lighter than I had in years. "Save me some wine. I have a feeling I'm going to need it." As I drove away from Townsend Industries, I couldn't help but think about tomorrow. Would they swallow their pride and accept my help, or would they let their empire fall? Either way, I'd already won. The next morning, I arrived early at Townsend Industries, walking through familiar corridors that now felt like a museum of my past. Employees hurried past, their worried whispers echoing off the walls. Everyone knew the company was in trouble, but no one knew just how deep it ran. "I didn't think you'd come back." Reed's voice startled me. He was leaning against the wall near our father's old office, looking exhausted. "Technically, I never left. You all did that for me." I adjusted my blazer. "Have they made their decision?" "They were up all night arguing about it." He fell into step beside me. "Mum kept saying it was a trick, that you're here for revenge. Dad," he just kept staring at Sophia's photo. We stopped at the break room, and Reed poured us both coffee. He still remembered how I took mine. "Black with 2 sugars," he said, handing me a cup. "Some things don't change." "Some things do." I took a sip. "Like you finally standing up to them yesterday." He slumped into a chair. "I've wanted to for years. Ever since that night, actually. I should have defended you then." "You were 19, Reed. They would have thrown you out too. Maybe that would have been better than watching them destroy everything good about this place." He pulled out a tablet, showing me internal reports. Look at this. Dad's been cooking the books for months, trying to hide how bad things are. The ethical standards you and I grew up with. Gone. I scrolled through the documents, my stomach turning. This is worse than I thought. They're one audit away from criminal charges. I know. Reed ran his hands through his hair. That's why I convinced them to accept your help. They agreed this morning, with conditions. Of course they did. I set down my coffee. Let me guess, they want to maintain control. They want to meet Sophia first, before anything else happens. The protective mother in me bristled. Absolutely not. They lost that right 16 years ago. Viv, please. Reed touched my arm. They're trying, in their own stubborn, prideful way, but they're trying. Mom actually cried last night looking at her picture. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. It was Sophia. On my way up, ready to meet the grandparents. What? I spun toward Reed. Did you tell her? He had the grace to look sheepish. She called me this morning, said she wanted to rip off the Band-Aid. The elevator dinged, and there she was. My brilliant, fearless daughter, dressed in a professional suit that matched mine, her presentation materials tucked under her arm. Mom, you look like you've seen a ghost. She hugged me, then turned to Reed. Thanks for the heads up, Uncle Reed. Is everyone in the main conference room? Sophia, wait, I started, but she cut me off. Mum, I've got this. You taught me to face challenges head-on, remember? She squeezed my hand. Besides, I've been preparing for this meeting my whole life. We followed her to the conference room, where my parents were waiting. The moment she walked in, my mother gasped. The resemblance between us at 16 was striking. Hi, Sophia said confidently, extending her hand. I'm Sophia Townsend, your granddaughter, and I'm here to save your company. My father stood slowly, taking her hand. You look just like your mother when you kicked her out. Sophia's smile remained pleasant, but her words cut deep. Yes, I know the whole story. I also know you're 3 months from bankruptcy. Your digital infrastructure is ancient, and your market share has dropped 60% in 5 years. She moved to the front of the room, connecting her tablet to the projector. But I also know how to fix it. Would you like to see how? My mother found her voice. You're just a child. A child with an IQ of 165 and a business degree. Sophia pulled up her presentation. Also, I've increased Phoenix's youth market revenue by 200% in the last year. But please, continue underestimating me. It's kind of a family tradition, isn't it? Reed choked back a laugh. I couldn't hide my proud smile. For the next hour, Sophia presented her plan. It was brilliant. A complete digital overhaul, sustainable practices, youth-focused marketing, and ethical business reforms. She answered every question with confidence and grace, even my mother's increasingly desperate attempts to find flaws. My father trailed off, studying the projections. Revolutionary, Sophia suggested. That's what happens when you embrace change instead of fearing it. So, what's it going to be? Are you ready to let the next generation save what the last one nearly destroyed? The room fell silent. I watched my parents exchange looks, 16 years of pride warring with the undeniable truth before them. Finally, my father nodded. We accept, all of it. Good choice. Sophia gathered her things. Mum will draw up the contracts. Oh, and Grandma? She paused at the door. That antique filing system in the basement. It's the first thing to go. As she left, Reed whistled low. Well, that was karma, I finished, watching my daughter's retreating form with pride. In its finest form. A week into the company overhaul, I was reviewing files in my father's office when Reed burst in, his face pale. We have a problem. Another one? I looked up from the stack of documents. What now? He closed the door and lowered his voice. Remember those reports I showed you, about Dad cooking the books? It's worse than that. Way worse. How much worse? Reed pulled out a USB drive. I found these hidden in an encrypted folder. Dad's been making deals with shell companies, accepting bribes for government contracts. If this gets out... Everyone goes to jail. I finished, my stomach dropping. Does Mom know? Are you kidding? She still thinks using email is too modern. He collapsed into a chair. What are we going to do, Viv? Before I could answer, there was a knock. My mother entered, looking uncomfortable in my presence as always. The auditors are here early. They want to see the books. Reed's face went white. I stood up, smoothing my skirt. Tell them I'll be right there. After she left, I turned to Reed. Get Sophia out to the building. Now. I don't want her anywhere near this when it hits the fan. What are you going to do? My job. I grabbed my laptop. Call Aaron. Tell him to get here immediately. The next hour was a blur of activity. I met with the auditors, buying time with carefully worded responses while Aaron rushed over. In the conference room, my father sat with his head in his hands while my mother paced. How could you be so stupid? She hissed at him. All these years of preaching about integrity. I was trying to save our legacy, he shot back. Everything was falling apart. Enough. I slammed my hand on the table. Playing the blame game won't help. Aaron's on his way with our legal team. Until then, nobody says a word to anyone. My mother turned on me. And I suppose you're enjoying this? Watching everything we built crumble? Mom, Reed warned, but I'd had enough. Everything you built? I laughed bitterly. You mean everything you destroyed? I spent 1 week looking at your books, and I found enough fraud to put this whole family in prison. Some legacy. Aaron arrived with his team, and the next few hours were spent in intense discussion. The situation was dire, but not unsalvageable, if we acted fast. We need to self-report, Aaron explained. Come clean before they find it themselves. It'll mean fines, probably significant ones, but it's better than prison time. We'll lose everything, my father whispered. You already lost everything, I said quietly. 16 years ago when you chose pride over family. This is just paperwork catching up. My phone buzzed, a text from Sophia. Mum, why did Uncle Reed send me home? What's going on? I stepped out to call her, but Reed followed me. Viv, wait. There's something else you should know. What now? The reason I helped you, agreed to be your inside source. I've been documenting everything. The fraud, the bribes, all of it. I couldn't live with myself, watching them destroy what Grandpa built. I studied my brother's face, seeing years of guilt and conflict. Why didn't you come to me sooner? Same reason you stayed away, fear. But when I saw what Sophia had become, how you raised her with real values, I knew it was time. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Felicity. News vans outside Townsend Industries. Want me to run interference? It's starting, I muttered, showing Reed the message. He grabbed my arm. Viv, please. Help me fix this. Not for them, for us. For what this company could be. I looked through the glass walls at our parents, huddled with the lawyers. 16 years ago, they'd thrown me out into the rain. Now they were drowning, and I held the life raft. Okay, I said finally, but we do this my way, complete transparency, new management, and they step down, both of them. They'll fight it. Then they can explain their creative accounting to a judge. I straightened my spine. It's time for the next generation to take over, Reed. You, me, and Sophia will rebuild this company the right way. He nodded slowly. What do we do first? First, we tell the truth. All of it. Then we let Sophia implement her plans. Every single one of them. No more old guard, no more shortcuts. And Mum and Dad, I watched them through the glass, these parents who'd shaped my life through their rejection. They get to watch from the sidelines. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying what someone loves. It's taking it and making it better than they ever could. Reed squeezed my shoulder. I'll stand with you this time, sis, I promise. I know. I took a deep breath and headed back to the conference room. It was time to start breaking things down before we could build them up again. This time, we'd do it right. You lied to me. Sophia's voice cut through my office like a knife. She stood in the doorway, tablet in hand, displaying news headlines about Townsend Industries' fraud investigation. I was trying to protect you, I said, setting down the legal documents I'd been reviewing. "Protect me." She strode in, dropping the tablet on my desk. "Mom, I'm not that scared teenager you used to be. I can handle the truth." "Sophia." "No, let me finish." She pulled up a chair. "I've spent the last 3 days analyzing everything. The shell companies, the bribes, all of it. And you know what? I have a solution." I couldn't help but smile despite the tension. "Of course you do. But first," she leaned forward, "you need to tell me everything. No more secrets." For the next hour, I laid it all out. Reed's evidence, the auditors, the potential consequences. Sophia listened intently, occasionally taking notes on her tablet. "So Grandpa's facing possible jail time?" she asked. "Unless we can negotiate a deal." I rubbed my temples. "The prosecutors might settle for fines and resignations if we cooperate fully." "Good." Sophia stood and started pacing, reminding me so much of myself. "Because here's my plan. We don't just clean house, we rebuild it entirely. Transform Townsend Industries into a tech-forward, ethical business incubator." She pulled up a presentation on the wall screen. "See, everyone's focusing on the scandal, but I see opportunity. We use this crisis to completely rebrand. The old guard steps down, we implement strict transparency measures, and we focus on helping young entrepreneurs build legitimate businesses." "That's actually brilliant," I admitted, studying her projections. "I learned from the best." She smiled. "But there's one more thing. I want to meet with Grandma and Grandpa, alone." "Absolutely not." "Mom," she took my hand, "you've been carrying their rejection for 16 years. Let me show them exactly what they missed out on." Before I could respond, Reed burst in. "The prosecutors are here. They want to talk to everyone." Sophia grabbed her tablet. "Perfect timing. Uncle Reed, I need you to set up a meeting with the board for tomorrow morning." "Sophia, wait," I started, but she was already heading out. "Trust me, Mum. Sometimes the best person to face the past is someone who wasn't damaged by it." The next few hours were a whirlwind of legal discussions. The prosecutors were willing to deal, especially after seeing Reed's evidence and our voluntary disclosure. By evening, we had a framework: heavy fines, my parents' resignation, and a complete corporate restructuring. I found my mother in her office, packing her things. "Need help?" She jumped, then composed herself. "I think I've managed for 30 years without it." "Right." I moved to leave, but her voice stopped me. "She's remarkable, you know. Sophia, nothing like I expected." "What did you expect? The child of a teenage disappointment?" She flinched. "I deserve that. But watching her today, seeing how she handles herself, you did what I couldn't. You raised her right." "No thanks to you. I know." She picked up a photo from her desk, my high school graduation. "Your father and I, we were so focused on appearances, on what people would think. We forgot to think about what really mattered." "Save it." I turned to go. "Sophia wants to meet with you and Dad tomorrow. Don't disappoint her like you disappointed me." Back in my office, I found Felicity waiting with 2 glasses of wine. "Rough day? You could say that." I collapsed into my chair. My 16-year-old daughter is about to take over a multi-million-dollar company restructuring. My parents are finally facing consequences, and I'm not sure if I'm winning or losing anymore. "Sounds like winning to me." She handed me a glass. "You know what the difference is between you and your parents? You learned from your mistakes. They're only now learning from theirs." My phone buzzed, a text from Sophia. "Board meeting set for 9 a.m. Grandparents agreed to meet at 8. Don't worry, I've got this. Love you." She really does have this, doesn't she? I showed Felicity the message. "Like mother, like daughter." She raised her glass. "To the next generation of Townsends, may they be better than the last." I clinked my glass against hers, thinking about tomorrow. Sophia was right. She wasn't the scared teenager I had been. She was stronger, smarter, and unburdened by the past. "You know," Felicity said softly, "sometimes the best revenge is letting your kids show your parents exactly what they missed out on." I nodded. watching the city lights flicker outside my window. Tomorrow, Sophia would face my parents with all the confidence I never had at her age. And maybe, just maybe, that would be the greatest victory of all. I sat in my office at 7:55 a.m., watching the security feed of the main conference room. Sophia was already there, setting up her presentation with the same methodical precision I'd always admired. My parents entered exactly at 8 a.m. Some habits never change. "You shouldn't be watching this," Reed said, closing my laptop. "She's my daughter." "Who specifically asked for privacy?" He pulled up a chair. "Come on, let's review the board presentation instead." My phone buzzed, a text from my mother. "Your daughter is everything we should have helped you become." Before I could process that, Aaron rushed in. "We have another problem. The board's trying to install their own CEO instead of accepting the restructuring plan." "What?" Reed stood up. "They can't do that. We have a deal with the prosecutors. They're claiming they weren't party to that deal." Aaron spread several documents across my desk. "They're meeting right now, trying to vote before the official board meeting." I grabbed my phone to warn Sophia, but Reed stopped me. "Let her finish with Mom and Dad. I'll handle the board." "How?" He smiled grimly. "Remember those files I showed you? They don't just implicate Dad. Half the board knew about everything." The next hour was chaos. While Sophia met with our parents, Reed and Aaron confronted the board members with evidence of their complicity. I stayed in my office, feeling strangely detached from it all, until Sophia appeared in my doorway. "Mom." Her eyes were red, but she was smiling. "You might want to come see this." I followed her to the conference room. My parents stood by the window, my mother actually crying, my father looking years older than he had yesterday. "Tell her," Sophia said gently to them. My mother turned, wiping her eyes. "We were wrong. Not just about you, but about everything. The way we ran this company, the values we thought we were upholding, we were wrong." "Sophia showed us her plans," my father added. "She's got your business sense and none of our rigidity. She showed us what this company could become." "And," I prompted, not ready to let them off easily. "And we'd like to step down completely," my mother said. "No conditions, no interference. Let you and Sophia and Reed build something better than we ever could." Before I could respond, Felicity burst in. "The board meeting's starting early. They're trying to force a vote." "Perfect timing," Sophia said, gathering her things. "Everyone ready?" "Ready for what?" I asked. She grinned. "The final act, of course. Grandma, Grandpa, you're about to see how a real corporate takeover works." We entered the boardroom to find chaos. Board members were shouting, Reed was calmly presenting evidence of their misconduct, and Aaron stood by with what looked like a team of federal agents. "Ladies and gentlemen," Sophia's voice cut through the noise, "before you vote, you might want to see this." She connected her tablet to the display, showing a complex web of transactions. While everyone was focused on the obvious fraud, I found something much more interesting. Every single person in this room, except my mother and uncle, has been engaging in insider trading, and I have proof. The room went silent. "So here are your options," she continued, cool as ice. "Option 1. You vote to accept our restructuring plan, resign immediately, and cooperate with the authorities. Option 2. Face federal prosecution. Your choice." One of the board members stood up. "You can't threaten us. You're just a kid." "A kid who just exposed your entire operation," Reed countered. "And those federal agents aren't here by accident." I watched in amazement as my daughter, my 16-year-old daughter, systematically dismantled every objection, presented evidence of every crime, and outlined exactly how the company would transform under new leadership. "All in favor of accepting the restructuring plan?" Aaron called out. The vote was unanimous. As the board members filed out, many already in handcuffs, my mother touched my arm. "She's magnificent. We missed so much." "Yes, you did." I turned to face them. "But she's right about one thing. This company needs to change. Really change." "We know," my father said. That's why we're not just stepping down. We're giving our shares to Sophia. In trust, of course, until she's 18. Let her build the company she envisions. I looked at my daughter, who was already deep in discussion with Reed about implementation plans. You're sure? More sure than we've been about anything in 16 years, my mother said softly. Sophia bounded over. Mom, the prosecutors love our transparency plan. They're going to use it as a model for corporate reform. Isn't that amazing? I hugged her tight, feeling the pride and love that my parents had denied themselves all these years. You're amazing. No, she whispered. I just had a better teacher than they did. As we left the boardroom, I couldn't help but think how differently things had turned out from what I'd initially planned. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about redemption, not just for my parents, but for the entire legacy they'd built and nearly destroyed. 1 month after the boardroom showdown, I stood at the podium in the company's main auditorium, facing hundreds of employees. The air buzzed with uncertainty and hope. Change isn't easy, I began, but sometimes it's necessary. Today marks the beginning of a new era for this company. Sophia sat in the front row between my parents, all three dressed in business attire. The sight still felt surreal. Many of you have heard rumors about what happened, I continued. Today we're going to be completely transparent about everything. The fraud, the changes, and most importantly, your futures. I clicked to the first slide, showing the company's new structure. No one is losing their jobs. Instead, we're redistributing resources, modernizing operations, and creating new opportunities. Sophia stood up on cue, joining me at the podium. Hi everyone, I'm Sophia Townsend. You might have heard about me, the teenage granddaughter who helped expose the fraud, but that's not why I'm here today. She clicked to the next slide, showing her incubator program. I'm here because every single person in this room deserves a chance to innovate, to grow, to prove themselves. Just like my mum did 16 years ago when she was thrown out of this very building. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. My mother visibly flinched. The old Townsend Industries was built on hierarchy and fear, Sophia continued. The new one will be built on innovation and trust. Starting today, every employee can submit ideas for new projects. The best ones will receive funding and support. Reed joined us next, outlining the new ethical guidelines and reporting procedures. The employees' faces shifted from skepticism to interest, then to genuine excitement as we laid out the transformation plan. Questions? I asked after the presentation. A senior manager stood up. Why should we trust this change? How do we know it's not just another corporate reshuffling? Fair question, Sophia responded. Which is why we're implementing complete transparency. All financial records, all decisions, all projects will be accessible to every employee. No more secrets. Another hand rose. Ms. Townsend, the younger one. Aren't you too young to be making these decisions? Sophia smiled. Age didn't stop my mum from building Phoenix Enterprises after being kicked out at 18. Age didn't stop me from exposing corporate fraud. Why should it stop any of us from building something better? The questions continued for an hour. Through it all, Sophia handled each one with grace and wisdom beyond her years. I watched my parents' faces as they witnessed their granddaughter in action, pride warring with regret. After the meeting, employees lined up to share ideas with Sophia. My mother approached me while I watched from the side. She's a natural leader, she said softly. She is. No thanks to you. Viviana, she hesitated. I know we can never make up for what we did, but watching her today, seeing what you've both become, I've never been more ashamed of my choices. Good. I turned to face her. That shame, hold on to it. Let it remind you every time you want to judge someone for not fitting your perfect mold. Before she could respond, Felicity rushed over with urgent news. The media's outside. They want statements about the transformation plan. I'll handle it, Sophia called out, already heading for the door. No, I said firmly. We do this together. All of us. I looked at my parents. Time to show the world what real change looks like. Outside, reporters swarmed with questions about the scandal, the changes, and the unusual sight of 3 generations of Townsend women standing together. Is it true a teenager exposed the fraud? How does it feel working with the parents who rejected you? What makes you think this transformation will succeed? Sophia stepped forward. Let me tell you a story about second chances. 16 years ago, this company chose pride over family. Today, we're choosing innovation over tradition, transparency over secrets, and most importantly, redemption over revenge. I watched my daughter handle the press with the same confidence she'd shown in the boardroom. My father touched my arm. "We were so wrong," he whispered. "About everything. Yes, you were." I kept my eyes on Sophia. "But she's right about second chances. Don't waste this one." As the questions continued, I saw something remarkable happening. Employees were gathering behind us, showing support. Reed stood proudly beside Sophia, helping field technical questions. Even my mother stepped forward to publicly acknowledge past mistakes. "Final question," Sophia announced. "Someone asked why they should trust this change. Look around you. See these people? They're not just employees anymore. They're partners in building something new, something better. That's why this will work, because this time, everyone has a voice." The cameras flashed as we stood together. 3 generations of a broken family, slowly healing through the very company that once tore us apart. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And sometimes, that's better than perfect. Back inside, Sophia hugged me tight. "Think we convinced them?" I looked at the crowd of energized employees, my cautiously hopeful parents, and my proudly beaming brother. "I think we did more than that. I think we just started a revolution." The autumn breeze carried the scent of coffee as I sat across from my mother at the small cafe near Townsend Industries. It had become our weekly ritual. Awkward at first, but gradually evolving into something resembling normal. "Sophia's latest project launched today," I said, stirring my latte. "The Youth Entrepreneurship Program. I saw the announcement." My mother's hands trembled slightly around her cup. 20 full scholarships for teenage parents who want to start businesses. It's pointed. It's necessary. I met her eyes. And it's healing. The door chimed and Sophia burst in with her usual energy, followed by Reed and my father. They'd been meeting with potential partners all morning. "Mom, Grandma!" Sophia slid into the chair between us. "You won't believe what just happened. Tell them, Uncle Reed." Reed grinned, pulling up a chair. "The Innovation Hub proposal. Every major tech company in the city wants in. They're fighting to partner with us." "With her," my father corrected, looking at Sophia with undisguised pride. "They want to partner with her." The waitress brought more coffee, and I watched my family. Really watched them. My mother, slowly learning to listen instead of judge. My father, finally understanding that legacy isn't about control. Reed, no longer buried under expectations. And Sophia, bringing out the best in all of us. "I have something to show you," Sophia said, pulling out her tablet. She opened a video compilation of employee testimonials about the company's transformation. "Since the changes," one employee said on screen, "I've launched my own project within the company. My ideas matter now." Another employee appeared. "My daughter was inspired by Sophia's story. She's applying for the entrepreneurship program." My mother wiped away tears as the videos played. "We could have had this all along, if we'd just—" "Stop," I said firmly. "No more dwelling on what could have been. Focus on what is." "Speaking of what is," Reed interjected, "have you told them about the award?" Sophia blushed. I was waiting for the right moment. "What award?" my father asked. "The National Youth Leadership Award," Reed announced proudly, "for revolutionizing corporate culture and creating opportunities for young entrepreneurs." My mother reached for Sophia's hand. "When is the ceremony?" "Next week." Sophia squeezed her hand. "I want you all there. The whole family." The word family hung in the air, heavy with meaning. 16 years of pain, pride, and missed opportunities, all transformed by this remarkable girl. "There's something else," my father said quietly. "I've been working with Aaron on the paperwork. We want to legally change the company name." I tensed. "To what?" "Phoenix Townsend Industries," he replied. "To honor both where we came from and where we're going. If that's okay with you, Viviana." The gesture wasn't lost on me. Combining my chosen name with our family name, a bridge between past and future. "Only if Sophia approves," I said, looking at my daughter. "She's the one leading us forward." Sophia pretended to consider it seriously. "Well, the logo would need updating. And the website. And all our branding." She grinned. "I already have designs ready." "Of course you do," Reed laughed. My mother set down her coffee cup. "I've been thinking about the old house. It's too big for your father and me now. Maybe it could be the location for your entrepreneurship program." I stared at her, recognizing the offer for what it was. Not just a building, but a symbol of change. "The house where you kicked me out?" I asked quietly. "The house where we made the biggest mistake of our lives," she corrected. "Let's turn it into something better. Something that helps other young parents instead of judging them." Sophia grabbed my hand under the table, squeezing it gently. I squeezed back, finding strength in her presence. "Okay," I said finally. "But we do it right. Full scholarships, childcare included, mentorship programs. Everything I needed back then." "Everything and more," Sophia agreed. "We'll make it a place of second chances." Reed raised his coffee cup. "To second chances." As we all toasted, I looked around the table again. The wounds weren't gone, they might never fully heal, but something new had grown around them, something stronger than pride, more powerful than revenge. "You know what this means?" Sophia said, her eyes twinkling. "Family dinner, all of us, every Sunday." "Don't push it," I warned, but I was smiling. "Too late," she replied. "I already made reservations for tonight." As we left the cafe, walking together toward the company we'd rebuilt, I felt the last pieces falling into place. Not perfect, but real. Not forgetting, but forgiving. Not erasing the past, but building a better future. My daughter had taught us all what I'd learned alone 16 years ago, that sometimes the greatest triumph isn't in destroying what hurt you, but in creating something beautiful from the ruins.